on a Monday, so you know exactly where you're going to be this evening. It's 8 p.m. on a Monday, so you know exactly what we're doing here. It's 8 p.m. on a Monday, and that means Hotep History is live. Hotep History is live. You understand? Hotep History is live. Now I gotta, hold on. I was preparing, I was trying to find a good song. That's what I was doing before you guys, came into my life this evening. So I'm trying to find a good one. It's gonna be a currency song. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. As a matter of fact, we can listen to some of this good old new spitter. Okay, from the new album, 830. Phenomenal tape, as always. What's going on? Welcome everybody. Come on in. Come on in. I'm giving y'all time. I'm giving y'all time to fall up in here. You dig? While I get this good old tunage going. Hope y'all good. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. How was y'all day, man? Shout out to Natty Smurf already in the building. You dig? Let's see. We gonna just play one. I mean, they all fire. I ain't even gonna hold you. They are all fire.
Thing. Something is. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Hotep History Live with your host, none other than President Hotep Blue, representing Hotep Nation, man. I hope you guys have had a phenomenal week, phenomenal day. So, bitches, niggas. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm excited. I'm looking for the money. I'm excited for coming to scream with y'all. Huh? Oh, how have y'all been? Did you miss me? Did you miss the stream? You feel me? Did you miss Hotep History Live? Over the weekend, he was like, damn, I wonder if Dope gonna have a good show for us on Monday. You know what I mean? Did y'all want to make sure that y'all tapped in tonight? That's what I want to know. I want everybody to let me know. I want everybody in the chat, man. Let me know. You feel me? I wanted everybody to be excited that Hotep History Live is live again. And it's gonna be live on it's gonna be live on Wednesday and then live again on Friday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, ladies and gentlemen, we are Hotep History Live. Now, come on now. I know y'all can see it. I know y'all can see all of the fire shit that I got going on here. So look,
I've been working on my overlay, as you can see, just so it's not just, you know, a spinning browser and all of that. We got the follow and subscribe, all of that. So look at all of these different platforms that I'm on. We got Patreon, we got Kick, obviously, we got YouTube, we got Instagram. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little selfish with the Twitter because I want, you know, more people to come to my Twitter. Just keep it 100. And then we got TikTok. We are on what? That's 6 different platforms. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, hold on now. It's time. It's time to unveil something. Now, if you was paying attention to the overlay, it should have gave y'all a hint of what we are doing over here. Yes, Hotep History officially has a website, ladies and gentlemen. Officially has its own website. Yeah. Yeah, Hotep History. Yes, yes. Look at that. Look at all of this. Look at all of this. Yes. Tap into the website, beloveds. Tap into the website. Make sure you're logging on to hotephistory.com. Make sure you're logging on to hotephistory.com. Yeah, we are live. We got our own crib on the internet. We got our own crib, hotephistory.com, locked in. Put it in your bookmarks. I'm going to be blogging on there. I got my first idea for a blog. Y'all know I've been raving on and on and on and on about the ancestral Black American ethos. So what I'm going to do for y'all, for the readers out there, because there's no way I rock it with Hotep History and not a fan of reading. So for all of the readers out there, we are going to, you know, have a nice, well thought out blog for the ancestral Black American ethos, just to give y'all a breakdown as to what I really mean when I'm talking about that, giving you all different types of examples and stuff like that. So I got a blog coming, you feel me, for hotephistory.com. But this is the official website, ladies and gentlemen, hotephistory.com. Extremely proud of it. Extremely proud of it. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, but especially thank the person who built the website. Okay? Thank the person who built this website. I didn't have anything to do with it other than it being, you know, my brand and whatnot. But they built this website brick by brick. I'm so happy to unveil it. I think this is like perfect to unveil it at the top of the week to let y'all know what I'm working with. Like, just somebody take a screenshot. Hold on, let me take a picture real quick. Somebody take a screenshot of this with the website, with all of this fire shit and the overlay. Get me. Yeah. Take a good screenshot. You feel me? This how we coming in 2025 and beyond. You dig? It's been a long time coming with Hotep History. I started this last year. I want to say last Black History Month. Like, everybody know I've always been a history buff and I love Black American history specifically. And I am extremely proud to have my own crib on the website, on my own crib on the internet again. You're going to be getting so much information from this website. You're going to love it. You're going to be tapping into this website daily, okay? I'm going to make it a part of your daily routine to tap into hotephistory.com. So not only are you going to be following me on all of these things, okay? Every last one of these things, you need to be following and subscribing and all of that on all of these platforms. But also here, hold on. Also, what am I doing? You know what I'm trying to do. Yeah, here we go. Here. Doing all of these things. You feel me? On the website. So, thank y'all for coming on through. Hold on. I'm about to let the people know. That we are live. I told you I get why Umar be repeating himself. Hold on. We are live. Hold on. Let me put it in the ether to get the people in the building. Because we not playing with them. At all. We want as many people in the building at one time. You feel me? We want as many people in the building at one time. So come on through. Shout out to everybody in the chat so far. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate all of y'all. All of the day ones, all of the people that been tapping in. making sure that they are showing their love and their viewership. You know what I'm saying, for Hotep History. Let's crack a bottle for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Now tonight, now tonight, we are going to be talking about Black American inventors, innovators, Black American ingenuity overall. It's a deep history. Okay, Black Americans were inventing things. I mean, before the Civil War, like during slavery, like they were inventors. You feel me? The history of Black American invention goes deep. It goes deep. It goes deep. Um, but you know, I absolutely want to know how you guys' day went. I'll let y'all know how mine went. I'm gonna let y'all know that I got some good sleep last night. I got to bed at a reasonable hour. Usually, I'm burning the midnight oil to 3, 4, sometimes 5, 6, and 7 in the morning, and that's not good for y'all. I'm letting y'all know right now. I don't care what age you are, but as you get older, you're going to need your rest. As you get older, you're going to need your rest. So I have been taking advantage of the fact that my work ethic is what it is, and I ain't gonna lie, I was burning the midnight oil a little bit too hard, and I was walking around in zombie mode while working during the day, and that's not good. You're gonna miss some things. You're gonna make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take unnecessary L's when you're not getting rest. Now, don't get me wrong. There'll be some times out of the month where you may wanna burn the midnight oil to like maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I get it, because you want to grind and you want to make it happen. And sometimes you got to stay up that late. But I implore you guys, if you are going to stay up that late, please make sure you're getting your rest, man. Please make sure you are getting your rest. It's absolutely imperative. Without the rest, you have nothing. All of everybody. And the thing is, what I love about it is it's a universal um field of it. Like, it's a universal type of advice. Like, the bodybuilders and the fitness gurus, they're going to tell you that rest is important for muscle regeneration and testosterone and health. You know what I'm saying? The entrepreneurs are going to tell you that getting rest is important to make sure that you are actually productive and you're actually running your business and all of that the way you need to, because you need to be bright between the ears. You feel me? The holistic practitioners who are all about just health and wellness, they're going to tell you that sleep is important and rest is important. No matter where you go, there's going to be somebody in the field that's successful telling you, yo, you need to get your rest. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, no matter how you get it done, they're going to tell you to, you know, emphasize rest. It's extremely important. So, woke up at a pretty nice hour. I got a little bit too much rest because of how much rest I wasn't getting. Woke up, did my morning workout, got that in. I'm telling y'all, yo, by next summer, I'm telling y'all, it's about to be a whole different Hotep dubs on these cameras, G. And y'all gonna be able to see it. I want y'all to like take the screenshots of like the early episodes, you feel me? And then like next year, when we in episode 100, whatever it is, you feel me, 200, whatever, you're going to see the difference in my physique. I'm trying to get abs and pecs and all of that shit. I ain't trying to be like you know, a super swole bodybuilder type. I just want a nice solid, like a real solid dad bod, like the dad bods that's actually put together, not slumped over, you're not slouching and shit like that. Like, I want a solid physique, healthy physique, optimal health is what we're going for. You feel me? So, got my workout in. Then you see all of these platforms, right? So I had to make sure that I posted on Instagram and make sure that I posted on Patreon and stuff like that. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep History, patreon.com/Hotep History. A bunch of exclusive content on there and a bunch of exclusive content coming this week for you guys. I got a bunch of short videos, scripted videos that's coming out this month. September is going to be a big month for me just because of how as you can see, I am setting things up. I got my platforms, I got my website, I got the live stream, I got my podcast that's happening every Saturday at 12 o'clock on Spaces. Meet me there. Okay, don't even meet me there. Beat me there. Don't meet me there with my partner, Mac, aka Chitlin Poppy. We are hosting a podcast every Saturday, so make sure you guys are tapping in for that. We're going to be talking a little bit more controversial topics. We're talking our personal opinions as it pertains to history in Black America. We're having a good time over there, and you get to be a part of the conversation verbally, not just a comment. So again, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. here at kick.com. We doing Hotep Live. And then on Saturday, 12 p.m. on Spaces, yours truly and Chitlin Poppy, a.k.a. Mac, are going to be talking history. So you got a solid 4 days of Hotep history a week. You know, we're talking at least a dozen hours, somewhat, of content every week that you're going to be getting from us. So please make sure you tap in. I'm especially proud of this little ticker down here. Do you see the ticker? This little ticker? This little ticker down there. Yeah, see that? Follow and subscribe to Hotep History on all platforms. Okay? On all platforms. This ticker is super fire because it's actually keeping real time. It's actually 8:16. So I'm digging the ticker. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm just super I'm hype. I'm hype. We haven't even started the show all the way, but I'm super hype. And I'm going to be using the first 15, 20 minutes of the stream just to allow people to pile up in here. Make sure that you guys are, tapping in. Make sure you're leaving comments. So this week, like I said, or today rather, we're going to be talking about Black American inventors, innovators, and Black American ingenuity overall. One of the things that I always wondered, like, yo, why isn't there as many Black American inventors as there were in the late 19th century going into I want to say mid to late 20th century. Like the 70s is kind of where it kind of cuts off, and then you'll have certain people like in the 80s and 90s that's doing their thing. But as far as like the bulk of the Black American inventors, from 1870 to 1940, there was about 1,000 patents filed by Black Americans. So I definitely want to hear what you guys think about that. Why, what ushered that in. Of course, the Industrial Revolution and the age of innovation, of course, in America. But, why did it decrease so much after the 20th century? And my third question for you guys is, what can Black Americans do to participate in the current tech boom? We're going to be highlighting my sister Simone Bees tonight. She's huge in tech. She actually she just posted a video with a young Asian fella shouting her out and literally naming a method after her as far as getting into tech and your tech careers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we got a good show lined up for you guys. It's going to be nice and concise. I understand the importance of, being cognizant of you guys' time, So, yeah, man. So, Natty, what's going on? Cindy, what's going on? Move Forward, what's going on? Please tap in. Talk to me. How was your day? Were you productive? Did you learn something? Those are the two requirements to be a Hotep historian. Every day, you have to be productive, and every day you got to learn something new. That's a requirement over here at Hotepistan and Hotep History Libraries. You feel me? That's a requirement. So tell me, how was your day? Talk to me. I want you guys to holler at me. And so, before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight, just want to make sure you guys are following me on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Hotep Dubes. That's me, that handsome fella right there. But there was this hilarious video that I gotta show y'all, yo. This shit had me crying. Watch this shit, son.
I don't feel like I would have followed Harriet Tubman.
Why?
Simply because, for one, I don't know your conversion rate.
What do you mean you wouldn't join Harriet Tubman? She would have had to haggle with you for your freedom? It's not enough that she risked her life to come back and try to save you, but now she needs to go over conversion rates and percentages and market herself so that you can give her the privilege of escorting you to freedom? Then he went on to say that he'd just do his job, and in doing so would avoid being beat. My brother in Christ, the beatings come with the enslavement. You can't separate the two. You act like the plantation is ran like a modern Fortune 500 company. You're acting like you can dodge the beatings like an office worker can dodge a write-up. It doesn't work like that. You sound like the type to try to work your way up the plantation ladder. You want to be a mid-level manager so bad. You wouldn't even make it into the house. You're not even light-skinned. I would have been had my tattered shirts and overalls packed and ready to go. I'm taking my chances.
Yo, first of all, son is hilarious. I have yet to see a video of his come across my timeline and not immediately start laughing. Like, his cadence is so hilarious to me, son, because he be so concerned, like he be bewildered off the shit that he be reacting to. Man, I find him hilarious, you feel me? But secondly, he's right. Like, I ain't gonna hold you, son. Like, imagine Harriet Tubman deadass having to convince a nigga to leave the plantation. Where, like, what are you talking about, nigga? Like, you are an enslaved person. Please leave. Like, I don't understand, bro. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Conversion rate. Conversion rate? I gotta hit you with my analytics and metrics, nigga. What? You gotta be shitting me, bro. Like, it's 1845, son, in the middle of the South. Yo, you gotta be shitting me. Bro, you have to be shitting me. And the thing is, a nigga like me, bro, I'm not doing all of that explaining. Yo, I'm telling you, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, okay, everybody in the plantation, as far as the crib goes, is asleep. I done snuck back, because remember, like, she's going back and forth. So I leave. I am free. I go back. I sneak back into slavery. I don't know if you know just how fucking crazy that concept is. Sneaking back into slavery just to sneak you out. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in the middle of arguing with you. I have to argue with you. I have to dead ass be like, yo, bro, like, I gotta tell you, I understand where you coming from. Like, what, nigga? No, I'm not doing that. I am not convincing their nigga to get off the plantation. If you want to stay here, if you want to work for free, if you want to be enslaved, bro, please, by all means. And you know what's even funnier about that? That happened. That happened. And you know I got the source. You know I got the primary. Let's go to it real quick. What is the word that I use? Uniformity? I think that's the word that I used. Yeah, here we go. So this is a real primary source of something akin to this. So this is essentially the story of a slave who went back into slavery by choice. So here it goes. It says, it is said that an abolitionist society, by a bribe of $3,000, induced the slave valet of Henry Clay to leave him and go north. The society thought that this large sum will be well spent in producing what would appear to be such a noteworthy example of dissatisfaction with the condition of slavery. Though the Negro accepted the money and left, he soon repented and returned to his master. Thereupon, Clay gave him $3,000, for the Negro had long spent the bribe, telling him that when he had returned the sum to those who had tried to corrupt him, that he would be restored to his master's service. The money was given back as directed, and Clay then took the Negro back as his valet. This is a true story. Okay? We can go do the inflation. I don't know when in the 19th century this was. I know it was in the 1800s. So let's just give it 1850. $3,000 in 1850. How much was that? How much was that? Adjusted for inflation, $124,000. This man was given, in effect, $125,000. He spent that, but then, for whatever reason, was like, nah, I want to go back. I want to go back to being a slave. And of course, I wouldn't think this was the majority, but there were enough slaves who were on this type of time. I could tell you of another man, Jupiter Hammond. Jupiter Hammond is actually one of the first Black American writers. He was a poet, and he wrote poems and stuff like that. And as an old man, he was in his 60s, maybe 70s, and he was saying like, yo, I don't wish to be free, because of how old he was and how used to the life that he was living. It's like extremely institutionalized. You feel me? Extremely institutionalized, and he relied on his slave owner for sustenance, as far as like livelihood. And, if you think about a man who's spent his entire life from birth to 70 years old in a prison, has never known the outside world for himself, only through, speculation or seeing other people go free or escape or whatever it is. Like, at 70 years old, his mind was like, well, I'm at the end of my life, and I don't want the responsibility of being free. So even the date that we know, as far as June 19th, and the celebration of Juneteenth in Galveston, when I forgot the general's name, but when he made the announcement to the slaves, most of them got the fuck on. They left. You feel me? They wanted their freedom and stuff like that. But some did stay. Some did stay on the plantation. They stayed on the plantation, got paid for their work instead of, doing it for free. But there were plenty of mainly older slaves who just didn't want the responsibility of, taking care of themselves, because at the very least, when it came down to slavery, they had 3 hots and a cot type deal. It wasn't the best conditions, obviously, but I think that's similar to what this slave went through. Like, he had the money, like I said, adjusted for inflation, this is $124,000. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a small sum of bread, but that clearly didn't last him long enough. And once the money was spent, and now you got to take your life in your own hands, there were some slaves who just didn't have it in them. They didn't want to be self-sufficient in that regard. That's just the reality of the situation. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there were men and women who Harriet Tubman literally had to just give up on, because that's not something that they really thought about. It's not something that they really wanted to do. You dig? So it's important to understand. So even in the caption, I said, stop chasing racial uniformity. It has never existed in this country. Once you accept that there are people who legitimately do not want to advance themselves, you ironically become more optimistic. Find your tribe and build. Everybody can't go, and most of them don't want to. And that's a fact, yo. That's a fact. I have been producing solutions on the internet for well over a decade. And I can tell you from experience, fam, like, people don't want solutions. I can tell you that. I can tell you that for a Fendi fact. Like, you can drone on and on and on about how somebody can change their lives for the better. And if it's not given to them, if it's not made easy for them, if it's not something that they can conceptualize in their own mind about their own lives, it's not going to happen. It's simply just not going to happen. So you have to understand that if you are going to be a productive person, if you're going to be somebody who is focused on the end goal and who's focused on, making sure that you are better today than you were yesterday and better tomorrow than you were today, there are going to be countless people who just do not want to do that for themselves. And you would sooner become a failure than them become a success if you keep yourself around these people. All of the time I talk about the interview that I did with Shiz and Stank, a couple that were together, they smoke crack together, they make dead ass like $300,000 a year. They just smoke most of it up. They make anywhere between $300 to $1,000 a day to afford their habit. Legitimately, I watched them do it. They do demolition, they pick up trash, they fucking do any and everything that they can to be able to make $1. And Stank told me to my face, after her sister tried to get her clean for like a year or something like that, she told her sister, like, yo, listen, yo, you'll sooner start smoking crack with me before I get clean with you, because you're stressed trying to get me to get clean, and I'm happy getting high. And I'm telling you, you're going to come to a point to where it's either you're going to give up on me, which is totally fine, I would rather you do that, or start getting high with me. So I want y'all to understand that finding your tribe is extremely important. Racial uniformity is a myth, G. It's a myth. People say cliches like black Americans or black people are not a monolith, and then they just use it as a cliche, but it's absolutely facts. That's the reason why there's white hoteps, biracial hoteps, Asian hoteps, Hispanic hoteps. Like that's the tribe, dog. Like you gotta be a certain type of person to fuck with hotep. We solution-based people. We don't do a bunch of complaining. We don't pass the buck to other people. We're self-sufficient. We're big on community. We big on, doing all of the things that the ancestors were doing. So again, if you're not on that type of time, then we're not your tribe. And it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Like I want to be around like-minded and like-actioned people. And that's the reason why we created Hotep Nation. So make sure that you guys are understanding, that it's all about finding your tribe. It's all about finding your tribe. So make sure you guys are subscribing to all of the things here. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the Patreon. Make sure you guys are following me on YouTube. Make sure you guys are tapping into hotephistory.com and understand that you need to find your tribe. And if you fucking with the hoteps, then you might just be a hotep. You might just be. You might, you might want to think about becoming a card carrying hotep. Who knows? Let's see what else. Do I have anything else in the bookmarks? Do I have anything else? I don't think I have anything else in the bookmarks, and so we can jump right into it. Yeah, that was it. There was nothing other. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's get into this real quick, because anytime I bookmark a Earl tweet, I already know it's about to be super fire. So let's get into this, and then we'll get into it.
I am so grateful that even at this late point in my life, in the last 20 years, that I've come to know the significance of my history here. It breaks my heart whenever I turn onto Jonesville Road and I see what I call the horrors happening. That is the erasure of our history. But I'm just so grateful that I have been given the curiosity, the spirit, the want to know. So I'm now able to accumulate information and put it together in a way that my children, my grandchildren, my grandnieces and nephew will have it. So I want to make sure that it's put together in a way that's interesting for them and that they can carry it forward. And I was blessed when my niece said to me the other day, Margaret, I promise you, I will continue the legacy of information that you have. That is a huge blessing, so that despite the fact that things have changed, we are committed as a family to holding on physically to this property, but more importantly to the knowledge of self and passing it on to our children. And to me, that is a great honor. And I choose to focus on that while acknowledging what has been lost. I want to focus on the fact that we still have such a rich history to possess and pass on.
Absolutely. And isn't that similar to what I always talk about when it comes to Hotep history? Dog, there are bad things that happen in life. There's bad things that happen in the world. But you see, as an elder, she's focusing on passing the positivity down in the legacy, passing the information down. She's disheartened to see some of the erasure. She's disheartened to see some of the, the ways of that history being removed in the contemporary sense, but you see how she's responding to it. She even said, like, yo, yes, I acknowledge there's some erasure, but I'm focused on passing down that information. And that's all I be telling y'all here. It is never going to be something that I would say when it comes to our history that black people didn't go through no struggle, black people haven't gone through hell, black people weren't oppressed and all of that. You'll never hear me say no nut shit like that. But what I will tell you is you owe it to yourself to be focusing on the positivity, the innovation, the contributions that your ancestors made to this country, because it's likely vast. It's likely deep. It's likely life-changing if you actually care to do the knowledge. And she said something important there. She was talking about knowledge of self. Knowledge of self. That's an old Hotep term. That's one of the original Hotep terms. Okay, I'm talking about the Hoteps from the 70s and 80s. We're talking about having knowledge of self. I actually have a song called Knowledge of Self. You feel me? So again, knowing self, being confident in oneself, that's gonna supersede whatever on the external. You knowing yourself, you being extremely self-aware and understanding your spirit, understanding your soul, understanding your mind, understanding your body is going to be way more important than you knowing anything else. You need to know the best things to be putting inside your body as far as foods, vitamins, and minerals. You need to be very cognizant of the things that you are ingesting as far as media, as far as information, so you can fortify your mind. And you also need to have a relationship with God. Period. That's how you have that knowledge of self. That's where those epiphanies come from. That's where those strokes of genius come from. That's where those great ideas come from, because you know yourself. You know yourself. And so I'm appreciative of the amount of knowledge of self that I have, but I'm also appreciative that I know there's more to learn about myself. I'm not optimally healthy yet. I'm not optimally wealthy yet. And I'm working towards those things. And I'm telling you, the more I learn about myself, the more I love myself. The less depressed I get, the less anxious I get, the less doubt I have. Knowledge of self is key, ladies and gentlemen. Knowledge of self is key. And that's the reason why I'm able and more willing to spread the positivities in the inspirational stories of the ancestors as opposed to the negative ones, because I know that's exactly what they will want. So speaking of that, we got a lot to cover tonight. And so we're going to jump right into it. Shout out to the elder. So a great resource that I use is blackpast.org. It's a great website. It's a little bit mainstream, a little bit underground. It's a great website, a great resource for all things Black history. And now it's going to be mainly Black American history, but you got some Black Caribbean history there. You got some Black European history, obviously Black African history. So it's a great resource. I implore you guys to check out blackpast.org. I get a lot of things there. Now, of course, a lot of the information that I get will be primary sourced and stuff like that, because I'm just a sucker for primary sources. I love primary sources, but blackpast.org is a great resource, a great website. So I implore you. So in my pursuit of making sure that I had a nice, concise show, I was looking on BlackPast to see if they had a Black Inventors and Black Inventions page, and lo and behold, they did. And not only do they have one, they have them broken down into different eras. Errors. So we got pre-Civil War, 1861 to 1900, 1901 to 1960, and then 1960 to the present. So you got, and also break it down with inventors without patents and inventors outside of the U.S. So this is a great resource. We're going to be mainly coming from here, just because everything is already packaged in a nice little bow, concise and stuff like that. But I do have another sourced by none other than the ancestor Henry Baker, who documented black innovation from 1960, 1965, so the ending of slavery up into, I want to say, the late 20th century. And he has a book here. I'll show you a preview. Well, it's only about 30-something pages long. It's not long at all, so we'll go through it. But it's called The Colored Inventor, a record of 50 years. Now, while this is a primary source, it's also a digital copy in the sense of like it was retyped for for the contemporary. So I don't have the exact old text, you feel me? But it is what it is. Shout out to Declassified FBI. Hotep to all my Hoteps. Hotep to all my Hoteps. Shout out. Shout out. Make sure you letting everybody know we here. Repost that last tweet that I had. The last two tweets that I tweeted. Make sure you retweeting those things to get the people in here. Because tonight we're talking black inventors, black innovators, black ingenuity. And it's already 8:40. It is so crazy how the time flies when you on stream. Okay, so let's get into them. Let's see what we got here. Thomas L. Jennings. I know about him. He invented what we know now as dry cleaning. I think it was called dry scour or something like that. So let's get into it. All right. Here we go. It says, and this was written in 2009. It says Thomas L. Jennings was the first black man to receive a patent. So, boom, we starting with the first. The patent was awarded on March 3rd, 1821, U.S. Patent 3306X, for his discovery of a process called dry scouring, which was the forerunner of today's modern dry cleaning. Jennings was born in New York City. Shout out to New York. Okay, shout out to New York. The best city in the world. Shout out to New York. In 1791, in his early 20s, he became a tailor, but then opened a dry cleaning business in the city. While running his business, Jennings developed dry scouring. The patent to Jennings generated considerable controversy during this period. Slaves at this time could not patent their own inventions. Their effort was the property of their master. This regulation dated back to the U.S. patent laws of 1793. Okay. The regulation was based on the legal presumption that, quote, the master is the owner of the fruits of the labor of the slave, both manual and intellectual. Come on now. Patent courts also held that slaves were not citizens and therefore could not own rights to their inventions. In 1861, patent rights were finally extended to slaves. So, with that being said, we have to understand that there are going to be inventions during this time where it was completely legal for white men, specific, like more often than not, to take the credit for Black American innovation. My man Rashad, he asked me when I was doing an AMA one day, he was like, "Yo, who invented the cotton gin?" And I was like, I gave him, the corroborated story of Eli Whitley, all of that stuff. Or is it Whitney? Eli Whitney or Whitley, whatever. And in his heart of hearts, he was like, nah, a black man invented that. And I ain't gonna hold you. I told him like, yo, dog, because of the era and all of that, I won't take it off the table that a black man actually invented it. Simply because during that time, it was easy for a white person just to come along and just steal your idea. They could just steal your idea. So again, when it comes down to black innovation, we got to deal with that. Now, after 1861, slaves were able to file their own patents. And think about it like this. Do you know how prevalent black innovation has to be that the government was like, well, shit, slaves can file their own patents? It wasn't like this wasn't it didn't denote that slaves weren't creating things. This means there was such a supply of enslaved Black American innovation that they had to extend the laws in 1861. Now, of course, this is 2 and 4 years before the emancipation of Black American slaves, but it still denotes the prevalence of it. It still denotes the prevalence of it. So that's extremely important. Cliff says Black inventors, great info. Shout out the info you researched on Lewis Lattimore. Absolutely, absolutely. I've been doing this for a while now, so shout out to y'all for tapping into, my older content and stuff like that. But yeah, so we got to keep that in mind, and we will go into the tab about inventors without patents. Okay. Thomas Jennings, however, was a free man and thus was able to gain exclusive rights to his invention and profit from it. Jennings was a passionate abolitionist who used the income from his invention to free the rest of his family from slavery and fund abolitionist causes. He served as an assistant secretary for the first annual convention of the people of color, which met in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in June 1831, and he died in New York City in 1856. So, let's look at dry scouring. Okay, let's go to dry scouring. Come on, my fingers. My fingers. Come on now. You're embarrassing me in front of the people now. Come on, fingers. Let's go. Just do the patent. Let's look at the patent. Okay, so this was Jennings. And this was what the dry scouring machine was. Is this the patent? It looks like it. Says proceeds of a proceeds of a patent. This was him. Shout out to him. What else we got? Was this it? This don't look like it. I want to go to the site. And see if they got it. This is why Google be. I ain't gonna hold you. Google be like the last place that I be thinking about to get information because it's just so basic. So basic. So in 1821, he was the first. Okay. So this is going to be all that we're going to get visually. It's looking like. Or we can go to the patent website, right? Wouldn't it still be on the patent website? Let's see. What's the patent? Like what is the patent website? Yep. Can we just search it for the patent number? And what was the number? 3306X. Let's see if it comes up. This don't look like it. See, I want to see the original patent for it. And I be looking stuff up in real time, yo. Like I dead really just be, finding things interesting, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And I don't want to wait till I just wait till I get on stream to show it. So I guess it's not gonna show me. So what I do is I do this. There we go. I search exactly for the word that I'm looking for. So they ain't got nothing for me. Chat. And I'm more than sure that we're going to get into Lewis Lattimore, too. You feel me? Make sure y'all sharing this, yo. Make sure y'all letting people know we in the building. Search for patents. Let's see. Oh, this is a video. I ain't about to go through a tutorial, Jack. I just want to be able to find it. Let's see. Access in public. I don't care about the patent public search. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, we just back at the home page. It's all good. It's all good. We'll keep that website open for more people. So yeah, black man brought dry cleaning. Okay, black man brought dry cleaning to the United States. We giving that up to the black man. And you already know when we talking about things like this, you know I gotta shout out my man Onesimus for curing smallpox, for curing smallpox, for curing smallpox in Boston in the 18th century. Niggas would have been wiped out. Would have been wiped out had it not been for the ancestor. Henry Blair. Let's get into it. Let's get into Henry Blair. We got a patent here. Can we blow it up? Okay, we just have to look for it on Google. If it's on his website, I know it's on Google. We can get a bigger picture, but let's get into it. Henry Blair was an African American inventor who, in 1834, became only the second black man to receive a U.S. patent for his mechanical corn planter. For years, Blair was believed to be the first African American to receive a patent, but it was later discovered that Thomas Jennings received a patent in 1821 for his creation for what we just learned. Blair is most renowned for his invention of the corn planter and a mechanical cotton planter. Blair's inventions improved the productivity of corn and cotton agriculture. Okay. So let's get into his bio a little bit. Blair was born in Glen Ross, Maryland, 1807. There is scant information regarding his early life or family background. However, Blair appears to have never been enslaved due to his patent eligibility. Enslaved people, we already know about that. Blair managed his own independent business as a commercial farmer near Glen Ross, although he was unable to read or write. It is also worth noting that Henry Blair is the only inventor denoted as a colored man in the records of the U.S. Patent Office. So a couple things here jump out to me. First and foremost, he's owning a business in the 19th century. It seems like the early 19th century. I told you guys about free black Americans and how they was moving and shaking during the years of slavery. Not everybody was enslaved. There's entire lineages in black America right now who've never had a slave in them. And it wasn't because they were mixed, or it wasn't only because they were mixed. It's because, you feel me, they just were not. They were not. They simply just were not slaves. But also, you guys know how I tell you guys as far as the literacy rates among black Americans during the 19th century, they were really low. Okay, over 90% of black Americans couldn't read at this time. I mean, the bulk of black Americans at this time were slaves, and it was illegal in certain states, especially slaveholding states, obviously, for black Americans to read or write. So the fact that he was able to own a business as an illiterate man should let you know about the ingenuity. Do we know why they were never slaves? Well, when it came down to the free black Americans of the 18th and 19th century, there's going to be lineages of black Americans who some were mulatto or mixed or whatever. They had white dads and stuff like that. And then there were other people who came from, Africa or whatnot during these earlier years and just like literally came here on their own volition and never were enslaved. They just made their place in the country their own. Not to mention there's going to be certain black natives as well who were here before Europeans got here en masse. And so they had their own places here. So a lot of people think that the introduction to black Americans in this country was slavery. And while it's going to be one of the larger introductions, there were people already here moving and shaking. And so based upon that, there are going to be people who are coming to this country without a slave owner and stuff like that bringing them. They just came on their own volition, or they did come with Europeans, but they were free back where they are from, whether it be in Europe, in Africa. They came here free. So if you look at the expeditions of the Spanish during the discovery of the quote unquote New World, you're going to see that there were black navigators and black people on the ships that were not slaves. As a matter of fact, some of them may even had slaves. You know, we this Saturday we're going to be talking about black slave owners on the on the Hotep History podcast. We're going to be talking about slave owners. So that it's an amalgamation of that. So you got people who had white ancestry, like direct white ancestry, a white dad, a white grandfather. You'll have people who were already here, and so they were able to pretty much just maintain their freedom by just staying away from Europeans. And then you also had people coming from where they're coming from with Europeans, but they weren't enslaved to that European. They were just traveling along with them. So that was going to be like the main reasons why you'll see free black Americans during, you know, the height of slavery and stuff like that. Okay. So I tell you guys about James Forten. James Forten's parents were free. You know, let's double check that, because I know I've said it and I'm confident. I'm like 90% confident. But I just want to make sure. Go to his joint. Go to his wiki, because I want to say his parents. They say it that his parents were free. Early life and education. James Forten was born free, one of two children of Thomas and Margaret Forten, a Philadelphia sailmaker. Yeah, see, Thomas Forten was the grandson of a slave who had freed himself. See, so his father. So check this out. So James Forten's father's grandfather. Yeah, grandfather was a slave, and James was born in 1766. You see what I'm saying? So you may that's how free lineages go. So James was born free, his parents were born free, and James's grandfather was born free, but James's great grandfather was a slave who freed himself. So that's 4 generations. Slave, free, free, free. That's how that's gonna go. So that's a real life, example of what I'm talking about. All right. So let's get up out of there. I just wanted to double check because I knew that I was like 90% sure that his parents was free. All right. Here we go. After finding success as a farmer, Blair proved himself a capable inventor. On October 14th, 1834, Blair received his patent for his mechanical corn seed planter. Blair's corn planter resembles a wheelbarrow with a chamber fixed to the bottom that disperses the seed. Now, we see those still to this very day. I know I've seen them plenty of time when they're either spreading fertilizer or whatever it is, but you'll see the little wheelbarrow type of mechanism, and as you're walking it, the wheels are turning, but then there's also a blade that is distributing or dispersing the fertilizer. I've seen it fertilizer. I think I've seen it with seed as well. So this is something that still is being used today. Obviously, it's going to be, innovated and, worked upon and made improvements, but this is a black man. And what you're going to see is a lot of, inventions surrounding agriculture, because it makes the job of the person who invented it much easier. So instead of Blair having to, seed or plant these things on an individual level, he created a machine that'll make it easier for him to do it. All right. After the seed is dispersed, rakes attached to the back of the wheelbarrow drag over the seed to cover them with soil. So look, in one fell swoop, you're not only, seeding the soil, but then you're also covering it. All right. Blair's corn planter resulted in more efficient crop planting and resulted in greater overall yields for farmers. According to an 1836 article from the Mechanics magazine, Blair's invention was conjectured to, quote, save the labor of 8 men. So he optimized his workflow by 8 times. In the same way that, you incorporate horses to carriages and stuff like that. So now you got 1 horsepower. You dig what I'm saying? And so instead of walking yourself or lugging things yourself, you now have the power of a horse, guiding your workload. It's the same thing with this machine. So now imagine if you have 8 men using this over the course of 5, 10 plus acres. You're getting so much done, as opposed to one man doing this in a pouch, dropping seed and covering it, dropping seed and covering it. So again, it was about optimization and efficiency. And this is what I mean about like self-sufficiency and stuff like that. When you are dealing in self-sufficiency, you're always going to want to make sure that your job is easier by way of innovation and technology. You're the one that's out here planting this corn, and I love how like he's so specific with it. Like this couldn't have worked with any other crop seed. You know what I'm saying? Just cotton or just corn. But obviously, you can use this. You can use this for any seed, any type of crop. You feel me? But again, 8 men. So let's move on here. And I love how the articles are nice and short, so we'll be able to move on to the next person. Let's see. On August 31st, so just passed, 1836, Blair obtained a patent for his mechanical cotton planter. The device is essentially an adaptation of the corn planter optimized for cotton. The cotton planter also resembled a wheelbarrow, but it had two blades that split the earth, while a cylinder located behind the blades dispersed the seeds into the freshly plowed grooves. And he died in Maryland in 1860 of unknown causes. So again, we're going to be looking at efficiency here, and I really want y'all to understand just how masters of the soil the ancestors were. Junius G. Groves, we talk about him all of the time. Did y'all know that Junius G. Groves could eyeball soil? You know how hustlers, what was son that made I'm a hood nigga? He's like, I could eyeball the work. You know what I'm saying? He could eyeball the soil and tell you how much nutrients it was lacking, how much it needed, the grade of the soil. You can tell you the different types of the soil just by looking at it. May have not been the most educated as far as book learning, but when it came down to that soil, oh yeah, he can eyeball the work. He can eyeball it, and that's the reason why, like, as a dropout, I don't really get intimidated or, down on myself, because I know that based upon my know-how from young to now, I've been able to do amazing things that people who have degrees and diplomas and stuff haven't been able to do. It's all about what you're able to do. You know how many, as far as a historian, a Black American historian, do you know how many stories that I read when we talking about like Samuel B. Fuller having a 6th grade education or a 2nd grade education at 6, because I get the 6s mixed up, either 2nd or 6th grade education. He literally went from that to having over 5,000 employees in over 38 states with that little of an education, because at the end of the day, life is going to be your greatest teacher anyway. So shout out to your teachers, okay? Shout out to all of the teachers out there. We need them. You feel me? And yes, I'm one of those people that feel like, teachers are not paid enough, and I do, wish we can return to the days, at least as far as Black America was concerned, that the teacher was up there with the doctor and the lawyer. You feel me? And the dentist and all of them. The professional class that I always talk about. But that's not the end all be all to your intelligence. There's a bunch of educated people out there who are fucking like you're all about to say it, but they're not smart at all. They're just educated. You dig? So this is another invention that is going to revolutionize whatever industry that they're in. So let's see if we can get a bigger let's see, corn seed. See if we can get the actual patent for this one. No thanks, man. I don't be liking them prompts for real. Corn seed planter. Make sure y'all telling people that we here. Make sure. Okay, let me click this. My curiosity, because it keeps coming back. What is this PDF telling me about? Roland J. Martin, J.D. The Success Act. Is this like something specifically for Black Americans? Because this is the second time it's come up. Yeah, African American. Oh. And the Congress directed the PTO to submit to it a report on the results of the study, provides the legislative recommendations for how to increase the number of women, minorities, and veterans to apply for and obtain patents. What year was that? Okay. So we'll do this. Corn seed planter. Blair. Go to images, and here we go. So this is what Henry was working with. Is it gonna open? Come on. There we go. So this is what he was dealing with right here. So you put the corn. AmericanFarm.com. That's what's up. So yeah, you put the corn in here. It disperses it down here, and then the rakes, comb over the soil. Okay. All right. Shout out to Henry Blair. And this was the patent. That's what's up. And the thing is like, are they just really that good at drawing? Or is this like when you go to the patent office, they draw it for you? Because all of these patents are like a real illustrative. Like you can really see the details in it. I wish I could find a bigger one, but these are like great patents. As far as like the visuals, they look great. All right. Let's go on to the next one. Norbert Rillieux. Now, I actually have a video coming on the Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep History. I'm making a video about him for his invention. I might just do a longer video making a compilation of all of these different people. I think that'd be better for the Patreon subscribers to have a longer video. I know you guys like the longer videos and stuff like that. And then, I'll sprinkle it across different platforms and stuff like that. But you guys will get the exclusive video with, I'll probably pick like 25. Make it a nice long video, about 20 minutes long. So you guys, maybe half an hour long, just so you guys can, have a nice, enjoyable piece of content. That's what I think I'm going to do for y'all. Yeah, 25 people, 2 minutes each, quick little bios and stuff like that. And, just to be able to give you guys something, for the Patreon subscribers out there. So let's see. 2 centuries ago, Norbert Rillieux was born in Louisiana, the son of a wealthy French engineer and a black slave woman. As a free Creole born of privilege, Rillieux attended private Catholic schools and later studied engineering in France. His education allowed him to become an expert in steam engines at that time. At the age of 24, Rillieux became an instructor at the L'École Centrale in Paris. I don't read other languages very well, bear with me, where he published several papers on the steam engine and the steam economy. In the early 1830s, Rillieux returned to his home and his father's sugarcane plantation in Louisiana, where the crop grown and harvested was also processed into refined sugar. He noted the labor-intensive process as slow, expensive, and inefficient because it involved the handling of boiling hot liquids. Rillieux also noticed that the slaves on the plantation performed most of this potentially dangerous labor. So, of course, again, efficiency. And if we're going to just, be objective about this, we understand that slavery is wrong, but at the end of the day, industry is industry, and this is one of them. Sugar is an industry here, okay? So, while working on his father's plantation, Rillieux discovered a way to transform the sugar refining process. He enclosed the condensing coils in a vacuum chamber, lowering the boiling point of the liquid, allowing the juice to evaporate in a second chamber under a higher vacuum. This process, developed by Rillieux, greatly reduced the production costs and provided a superior quality of sugar. So, again, I want to reiterate that when it comes down to Black American inventors, they're also innovating. They're also transforming and revolutionizing whatever industry that they're in. Again, we're dealing in agriculture right now. So the Henry Blair, of course, he's going to be focusing on corn seed and cotton seed. But Norbert, he's focused on sugar because that's what his pops is working on. But it's always to revolutionize the industry that they're in. You dig what I'm saying? It's to make it easier, more efficient, more profitable. Because that's the entire point. That even when it comes down to entrepreneurship is essentially, if you want to encapsulate it into one thing, is solving a problem. Solving a problem that a consumer has and then creating a good or a service that's going to solve that problem. That's it. That's it. Being able to see what a consumer may have a problem with and then creating something to solve it. That's entrepreneurship in a nutshell. You think of any business, any good, any service, that is what entrepreneurship is. Serving the people and solving their problems. So if you're an accountant and you have your own accounting firm, the problem obviously when it comes to that is improper accounting. People not paying their taxes, people not, having a handle on their finances. If you're a masseuse, then it's obviously the tension in the joints and, all of that, the problems that the body has and needing to massage that. If you are a restaurateur, the problem obviously is hunger. Whatever the business is, it's supposed to be solving a problem. That's it. A consumer has a problem, the entrepreneur comes up with a solution and charges them for it. That's it. Here we go. In 1843, Real U experienced further success when Theodore Packwood and Judah P. Benjamin. Now, I know Judah P. Benjamin. He was, he's talking about he was the president of the Confederacy. Yeah, I want to say. I know he's a part of the Confederacy. A lawyer and politician who served as a United States Senator from Louisiana, member of the Confederate States Cabinet, boom, 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 after his escape to Britain at the end of the American Civil War, an English barrister, blah, 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 was the first Jew to hold a cabinet position in North America and the first elected to the United States Senate who had not renounced his faith. Okay. But he was something else. Okay. I thought he was like the president of the Confederacy or something like that, but I could be wrong. So anyway, going back. Let's get up out of here. Let's see. Prominent Louisiana planters, so they were slave owners as well. Anytime that you read planter, that's just the soft way or the PG-13 way of saying slave owner. Norbert's father was obviously a slave owner on a sugar plantation, and so was Theodore Packwood. Let me see who that is. I've never even heard of him. Let's get into him. I love this search Google tool when you highlight something. You don't have a wiki. We just want to do a quick. Let me see what we got. So they're not even going to show me. That's Norbert. They ain't going to show me Theodore Packwood. All right, whatever. Guess he didn't do anything of note. Okay. When those two people were awarded prizes for producing the best refined sugar, they publicly credited Real U's sugar boiling process. By 1846, Real U's evaporators were widely used across Louisiana and were first adopted in Cuba and Mexico the following year. So again, we get internationally known on the microphone when it comes to sugar refinement. Okay? Real U was, despite his color, now the most sought-after engineer in Louisiana. Nonetheless, he still resented the discrimination he faced and in 1854 returned to France. He continued working on his various innovations in sugar processing and published papers on the uses of steam. Finding Europeans to be disinterested in sugar processing, he secured a scholarship and the rest of his life deciphered hieroglyphics. So he just became a Hotep. Like, he just became Hotep out of nowhere. He died October 8th, 1894 in Paris. He left behind a legacy of having revolutionized the sugar industry. He was buried in a cemetery in Père Lachaise in Paris. Wow. I didn't know that. When I have time, and I'm more than likely, not even more than likely, I'm more than sure I'm going to be able to find Norbert's writings, and I'll put that in the video as well. So yeah, just revolutionizing, the country and industry in the country. Let's get into some more of these people. What's going on? Why is it not loaded? Was that everybody on the pre-Civil War list? And before we get into the later dates, I want to go to the inventors without patents. Move Forward says college and school can't teach you how to turn $1 into $2. Yo, listen, man, depending on what it is, you absolutely right. You absolutely right. So that's the reason why, like I tell people, yo, like getting an education is important, but being intelligent is even more important than that. Okay, so we got one more pre-Civil War. Let's get into that. Let's get into that one. Benjamin Bradley. Now, I don't know this one. Let's see. And James Fortin, by the way, was an inventor as well. If you guys will play his video, maybe if I remember to. But in the video that I made for James Fortin, he was a sailmaker and he revolutionized sailing as well. And I really can't stress the fact enough that the ancestors was all about breaking the mold. They were all about innovation. They were all about really contributing to American advancement. This is the reason why I say, and I'll say again, that without Black Americans, the United States of America, or even the 13 colonies of America, would be a third world country. Think about what America would look like without revolutionizing agriculture. Think about what America would look like without revolutionizing sailing. Think about what America would look like if it wasn't for Onesimus and being able to introduce inoculation into Boston in the 18th century, in the 1700s. Like, you have to understand that when it comes down to this work, I understand that mainstream history like downplays these contributions and shit like that, but like you have to understand there isn't an era of American history that a Black man or a Black woman wasn't like firmly planted in that innovation, firmly planted in those inventions. It's extremely important to understand how prevalent and relevant Black Americans have always been in American history. So we're talking about Benjamin Bradley. Let's see. Benjamin Bradley was the first person to develop a working model of a steam engine for a warship. Come on now. Now my country loves war. That's what America, we going to go to war. We're going to be in some type of warfare. That's what our country does. We know that. And this man revolutionized, a working model, of a steam engine for a warship. That's incredible. Cliff says, shout out to the McKissick family in the construction industry. Listen, you talking about Soul City, North Carolina, McKissick? Is that what you talking about, Cliff? Huh? You talking about Soul City, North Carolina? That's what you talking about? Talk to me, baby. Is that what we talking, the McKissicks? You feel me? I know about Soul City. I know about Soul City. I know about Soul City now. So, you know what? After we do this article, we're going to go over to that Soul City video. Just to give y'all another video for the chat, and I can, drink some more water. Okay. Born in Maryland around 1830, Bradley was owned by an unidentified slaveholder in Annapolis, Maryland. While living in Annapolis, Bradley worked for a printing company at a young age. At the age of 16, he demonstrated his great skill in mechanical engineering. He constructed a model of a steam engine out of two pieces of steel, a gun barrel, and pewter. Impressed by this feat, his master arranged for Bradley to work at the Department of Natural and Experimental Philosophy at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. Bradley became the first African American to hold any but menial posts at the Naval Academy. So, again, when it comes down to Black American advancement, this is why you'll have a Booker T. Washington speak on the graduality of Black American progress. And HJ, he actually had a video that it bears playing too. So we actually have more content than I thought. But basically, Booker T. Washington was like, yo, listen, we'll be able to get ahead by being exceptional people as in general. I know W.E.B. Du Bois just wants to defer to the exceptional people, but I am promoting exceptionalism amongst the masses. Everybody needs to be doing the same thing that Benjamin Bradley is doing. As slaves, as free black Americans, you name it. Okay? They need to be doing these types of things. They need to be innovating. They need to be inventing. They need to be revolutionizing. They need to be contributing to America because of the way Booker T. Washington looked at it. And of course, I know a lot of contemporary people, my peers, will look down upon this worldview. But they understood better at the time. Just being honest. They had a closer relationship and a closer understanding of the white people of that time, just like we as black Americans have a closer understanding of the white people of our time. And so Booker T. Washington understood that there are going to be white men and women who see the exceptionalism in you, who see the greatness in you, and will want to put you in it or want to see you in these different positions. Now, as their slave, of course, you're their property, and he's against that, obviously. And this is post-slavery. He's not talking about this in the enslaved context. But as free black Americans, these are the things you should be striving for. These are the things you should be pushing, to be able to achieve, because that way it can no longer be denied. Now, you're going to have envious people of all different stratus, parts of the economic ladder that are going to hate you no matter what you do or say. However, you're going to garner way more positive reactions and have a more positive impact on your country if you are doing things like this. If you're going to be masters of industry, if you're going to be titans of industry, if you're going to be, people who are going to be innovating and inventing things, the likelihood of the masses of the country, whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, or whatever it is, they're going to be on your dick, bro. Like, that's just what it is. And Booker T, because of his exceptionalism, he understood that. Like, dog, I get way more respect, adoration, admiration, adulation from the general public, including white people, but black people and all other people as well. And that is the reason why you see that he was such a celebrated man during his time, because he pushed black American excellence to the highest degrees possible. And so he's telling y'all, dog, I know these white people, bro. I know these crackers. Okay? The same way that they you'll see people impressed by white people hitting a jig or some shit like that. There are going to be other demographics, white people included, who are impressed with ingenuity, who are impressed with innovativeness, who are impressed by these inventions. Yes, are there going to be envious, racist white people who mean you harm, and seeing how great you are will be jealous and envious and want to harm you, try to kill you, take you off the map and all of that other shit? Absolutely. Booker T. Washington was never a child about this stuff. He was very honest and very steeped in reality. However, the other side of that reality is there are going to be situations like this with Benjamin Bradley, where his literal slave owner was like, dog, you need to be working at the Department of Natural and Experimental Philosophy. And not only that, the people at the Naval Academy believe that, yo, Bradley, bro, like you don't need to be just a janitor here. Like, you don't need to be doing any way, menial jobs. You need to be, doing something great with your gifts. So again, just keeping that in mind. So he was 16. He was born around 1830. So that means that's what, 1846, 1847. So this is still in the middle of slavery. And they're seeing this black man, and they're like, yo, dog, nah, we need to promote this guy. We need to, make sure he's in the right spots. That's the reality of America. That's the reality of America. I know that the stories that you have been told, that it was just unfettered racism, every white person hated every black person, and that's just how it goes. And it's much easier for a child to conceptualize some stupid shit like that. But when you start actually dealing in the primary sources and you start dealing in history, you will see that there was much nuance to be discussed here. There are going to be slave owners who get praised by their slaves because of their treatment. You're going to have slave owners who are terrible, obviously. You're going to have black American slaves who were doing other slaves terribly. You're going to have them like Harriet Tubman trying to free them. All of these different facets of just human behavior are going to exist in all of these different statuses, levels of society, races, no matter what it is. This was going to gradually happen. That's the reason why Booker T. Washington just emphasized, yo, be and do great things. And these things will help you move forward and advance yourselves. Back to the article. Bradley learned to read and write at the academy. In time, he became an assistant who set up experiments for the academy's faculty. While working at the Naval Academy, he sold his first small steam engine to a midshipman living in Annapolis. The engine was powerful enough to run a small boat. Bradley used this money to expand on his findings and create an even larger model. Around 1856, okay, so he's about 26, 27 here, Bradley built an engine that was capable of propelling the first sloop of war, a small warship carrying guns on one deck, at the rate of 16 knots an hour. Don't know how fast that is, just being honest. Somebody in the chat can tell me how fast that is. Let me know what the equivalent that is when it comes to like miles per hour, because I don't know knots. His engine was the first ever created that was powerful enough to run a warship. I say again, his engine was the first ever created that was powerful enough to run a warship in 1856. Bradley was unable to patent his invention under the United States law because he was a slave. He did, however, sell this engine and earn enough money to purchase his freedom. His date of death is unknown. So again, the rules are the rules at this point. The law of the land states that slaves cannot, have a patent, but for some reason, slaves can make money. You feel me? So he sold his engine and bought his freedom. Right on. So let's go to my page real quick, and we're gonna look at Soul City. Since Cliff shouted them out. Cliff also says, here we go. Got the video queued up. Pause it. Cliff also says, shout out to the skilled draftsmen out there. That's my industry in architectural engineering and design, and I'm always drawing and drafting. Holla at me. That's what's up, Cliff. Do you post anything online? We can go to your page and see if we can check out some of your drafts. We'd love to do that, man. My bro, Courtney Jefferson, that was his trade. He's going on to become this like super famous and phenomenal photographer and artist and stuff like that. But his original trade was like being in CAD and like, doing these amazing things. He works for like one of them crazy big companies like Raytheon or some shit like that. And he's doing amazing things. So shout out to my brother C. Jeff, man. That's my brother right there. So yeah, let us know if you got some drafts out there. But we're going to get into this video that I made about Soul City, North Carolina.
What's shaking, everybody? President Hotep Dubes here, and today we're going to be talking about Soul City, North Carolina. Now, this story starts with lawyer, World War II veteran, and civil rights activist Floyd B. McKissick. In the 1960s, Floyd was an extremely active and major figure in the civil rights movement. He walked with Martin Luther King during the protests, he was the head of CORE, and won cases as a civil rights lawyer. In 1968, Floyd, along with architect Harvey B. Gantt, began planning his town, Soul City. Floyd got the idea helping rebuild French villages during the aftermath of World War II. He figured if Europeans can rebuild cities, there's no reason why Black Americans couldn't build new ones from scratch. He chose 5,000 acres of former slave plantation land. The city was proposed to contain 3 villages, housing 18,000 residents by 1989, 24,000 jobs, and then over 50,000 residents by the year 2000. City planners named streets after Black American heroes like Nat Turner Street, Frederick Douglass Street, and Sojourner Truth Trail. He proposed the idea to then President Lyndon B. Johnson, but outside of just some conversation, nothing was really done. So, Floyd became a Republican and supported Richard Nixon, who approved the project. In 1972, Floyd secured $14 million from the Housing and Urban Development Department in exchange for support of Nixon. The state of North Carolina chipped in $1.7 million, while an additional $1 million came from private donors. After being funded, Floyd started on the town's development. However, Floyd and his ambitious project had haters. After Nixon was forced to resign in 1974 because of the Watergate scandal, Soul City fell under great scrutiny. Republican Senator Jesse Helms made a promise to Floyd that he was going to shut Soul City down. Local newspaper, the News and Observer, wrote scathing articles about Soul City and accused Floyd of corruption, nepotism, and mismanaging government funds. Senator Helms, along with Senator L.H. Fountain, pushed for an audit of Soul City. With Soul City under so much scrutiny, development of the town halted. Black business owners and residents alike were reluctant to move in. After an entire year of investigation, Floyd was cleared of all wrongdoing, but the damage had already been done and the project never came to fruition.
So yeah, that's the story of Soul City. Now, I want, just as a side note, because I know this is a part of innovation, so this is still on topic, but I do want you to see how McKissick played the political game. So Lyndon B. Johnson, Democrat, supposed to be the man of the people. What was it? Open Society or whatever it was, Greater Society, whatever his program was. But he's the president that famously ushered in the war on poverty, which of course ushered in the welfare state and all of these different things that negatively affect Black America to this very day. He's a terrible president. There are a bunch of liberals who love Lyndon B. Johnson for all of these government programs and stuff like that. Even Black liberals do. However, when you're coming from it from a conservative side, I'm not even talking about like politically conservative, but like, morally conservative, fiscally conservative and stuff like that, that government handouts are never going to end well. So he saw that, okay, Lyndon B. Johnson ain't trying to have no, independent places or anything like that for Black Americans. So let me go to become a Republican and support Nixon. That is how Black Americans were always supposed to deal with politics. Your loyalty only is strong as what that political party is able and willing to do for you. Yo, I'm a staunch Democrat. Shout out to Lyndon B. Johnson. I supported him. Blah, 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 blah. Lyndon B. Johnson then goes on to do absolutely nothing, produces an absolute nothing burger for Black American advancement. So now I'm going to weigh my other options. I'm going to rock with Nixon now because his administration actually helped me out. HUD, you feel me, was able to give me however many, dollars. The state of North Carolina gave an additional $1.7 million, and then another $1 million was raised privately. And if it wasn't for Watergate, there was nothing stopping Soul City. It was 5,000 acres of fertile land, and he had the plans drawn up. He already had experience rebuilding towns after the war in Europe. So he had all of the wherewithal, all of the know-how to be able to do it for, Black Americans. The project was already underway. He was already sending the brochures out there, like doing it the way, his ancestors were doing it. Having town boosters and stuff like that, being able to go out and boost the project, promote the project and stuff like that to get people to move in. But then, of course, Watergate happens. Okay. And now a bunch of Black business owners, white business owners and stuff like that is apprehensive. Not to mention a Republican and a Democrat senator vowed to ruin him. They weren't going to rest until he was ruined, but it was more so the Watergate scandal. So again, like when it comes down to the political game, I wanted y'all to see that, but also just wanted to show y'all Black American innovation. Cliff says, drawing concepts and posts on my Instagram, Cliff Plans HTX. So since we still in the same vein, let's go over, check out his Instagram, y'all, real quick. Cliff is a day one. The least I can do is boost his Instagram. Let's see what Cliff got. So is that Cliff with 2 F's? So Cliff Plans HTX. All right, let's check him out. All right, okay. Oh, you already following us, Hotep History. Oh, okay. Yeah. I do remember seeing your notifications, Cliff. Shout out to you. Wow. This was perfect, Cliff. You was right on time, bro. These all yours? Oh, Cliff building mansions. Oh, Cliff might need to. Okay, Cliff. Okay, Cliff. I see you, bro. Yo. This is fire, bro. This is fire. Hell yeah, son. Dog, do you have any addresses we can look up for any finished products? Like finished projects? I want to see this come to life, bro. Like, what's up? This is fire. This is fire, bro. Amazing work. I might have to have a tradesman series or something like that, bro, to get you up on here so we could talk about this. This is amazing work right here. Gonna have to assume that's your youth them. Shout out to this, to the next generation. Shout out to Cliff, man. Shout out to Cliff. This was great. I'm glad we veered off a little bit just to talk about this. This was amazing, bro. Definitely following you back. Definitely following you back. Deserve that. Post more, bro. That's what's up. Got a website here? Okay, nah. Okay. That's what's up, bro. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. All right, let's get back to it, though. Let's get back to it. So that was Benjamin Bradley, and then I did say I wanted to play a video from HJ. But I don't remember if I had it. Did I like it? Or did I? Because it's not in my bookmarks. Hopefully, if it's in my likes, then we'll watch it. But if not, I'm not about to search for it. We got other inventors to get to. It's already 9:30. Time be flying, man. Okay. You see, I don't got a problem sharing my likes. I know what I be liking. Yeah, here we go. Let's get into this video by HJ real quick.
Than they did in slavery.
Hold on.
I believe niggas now have it worse off than they did in slavery. I also made the argument that the black community needs reparations. Now, in some ways, those two conversations sound like they're the same conversation, but they're actually not in my opinion, because I'm not asking for reparations for slavery. I'm not. I believe that the reparations that are owed to us from the Democratic Party far dwarf what was done to us during slavery. I believe niggas was more free, had more freedom during slavery than they did now under Democratic rule. I said it. I believe niggas now have it worse off than they did in slavery. See, during slavery, we wasn't killing each other, but we killing each other now at a higher rate than we ever have. We need reparations from the Democratic Party for creating that problem. Completely mentally enslaved, okay? Now, why do I believe that slavery should have never been abolished? First of all, slavery never was abolished.
Hotep, you're a genius.
If you're an educated Negro, you know that we have the 13th Amendment, which legalizes slavery. Secondly, by abolishing slavery, you actually dismantled the wealth of many black slave owners. This was at a time when black people were becoming millionaires and they were freeing people. They were freeing people by buying them. Slavery didn't need to be abolished. Why? Because it never would have worked in the first place. Slavery would have disintegrated on its own. That's the trajectory that the United States of America was on. There were rebellions. Instead of us freeing ourselves, we allowed the white man to free us, and that's a huge mistake. At a moment when we were freeing ourselves, so instead of it being black people free themselves from the chains of slavery, it becomes Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. You see how the white man took credit for something that was about to happen? You see the psyop that they played? And then now the British Empire gets to hide behind altruism and pretend like they did something good. Oh, we freed the slaves. No, you freed the slaves for economic power. You didn't free the slaves because it was the right thing to do. The British Empire went around the world abolishing slavery to destabilize African nations and their power. The only reason the North freed the slaves is because they was in the middle of a war. Abraham Lincoln already told you, if I didn't have to free the slaves, I wouldn't have. Black people are people of great creativity, ingenuity. We saw black people on the island of Haiti. We saw black people on the island of Examaica or Jamaica or Zayamaka freeing themselves. We saw people in Curacao freeing themselves. Black people would have freed themselves. The problem is, if black people freed themselves, our power levels would have been way too high to maintain. And that's why we never should have championed the abolition of slavery, because all it did was give the United States more power, create more corruption, and then we got the 13th Amendment. I digress.
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the white people were as smart as Hotep Jesus.
Yo, when he looked at his phone, I died, son. But yo, listen, it's a very thought-provoking diatribe that he had there. Very thought-provoking monologue. And the reason why it resonates with me is because obviously, the first episode of Hotep History was about slave rebellions and how slaves were like literally killing their former owners and like literally freeing themselves based upon that. Now, of course, you're going to get opposition. You're going to get a bunch of people who are going to wrangle you back into slavery and all this other stuff. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of particular things, Black Americans have always thrived when it was them knowing that it was just them. No allies or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, we work well with our allies, but historically, allies have been taking credit for our innovation, our inventions, our advancement, our progress. Like these things, they see all of the ingenuity, they see all of the work that we're doing, be able to slap their name on a building, slap their name on a patent, slap their name on whatever it is, and being like, oh, I'm the guy who was the white savior of these people. And it's like, no. Black Americans were fighting tooth and nail against slavery. I told y'all, there is not a single season of American history where they're subjugating the ancestors and the ancestors did not fight back. Not one. Not one. You like it literally, I remember being a kid and being like, yo, they would have to kill me. They would have to kill me because I'm not about to be no slave. That energy was 100% permeating through the ancestors. There were plenty of them that wasn't going. Like, I have a book full of slave owners' testimonies and narratives. So I didn't just read, the black side when it came to our stuff. I'm reading from slave owners themselves being like, yo, my slaves won't work. My slaves won't work. They're rebelling against me. I'm losing money. And I tell y'all all of the time, slaves were not cheap. Slaves were never cheap. Slaves, as far as the value or the cost, they costed the modern equivalent of $20,000 to $40,000 for adults. For an actual healthy adult black male slave, you were paying $40,000. The only way that you can get around this, just like with livestock, is that you would have to buy babies. So you can buy a baby for maybe $2,000, $500, but now you have to raise the baby. You have to raise the baby to even become a viable slave. So when you are spending the equivalent of $20,000 to $40,000 per person, and those people are rebelling against you, they're poisoning you, they're killing you, they're fighting against whatever it is. Everybody talks about the whip, but nobody talks about the gun. They're not talking about how slaves would literally, the house slaves would pass on information, pass on weapons to the field slaves, and then carry on a revolt. Like, this is what's happening. I want you guys, especially on the Patreon, if you go to episode 1 of the Hotep History series, you'll see that's the first episode. Slave rebellions and revolts. The ancestors wasn't going. And I promise you, when it comes down to all of that pushback over and over again, things are going to change. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes down to the abolition of slavery, I'm not sitting here saying I'm not going as hard as HJ, because, you know, we are two different human beings. He has his own thoughts. But I do like how thought-provoking he is. And I do believe that without the you know, these particular, you know, white people, that we would have gained our freedom and gotten our freedom, because like he said, this is some of the first eras of Black American millionaires. And I told y'all, we'll talk about it on Saturday, but you know, the majority of Black slave owners were buying their family and friends and then keeping them enslaved, because if they were to be set free, then they would have to separate and stuff like that. But imagine, just walk with me, just for us have a just have this thought experiment. If more and more Black Americans were buying their family and friends and themselves and all of that stuff, and now more and more Black Americans are able to have the ability to just free them. Yeah, they got to move, but you now have the ability to free all of these different Black American people. Then the proliferation of slavery doesn't even look the same way, because now Black Americans are in the game. Now, we know about Black slave owners who were, you know, owning slaves strictly for economic pursuits, just like their white and other non-Black counterparts. However, when it comes down to on the ground execution of all of these different ideas, you're going to see a higher participation in Black Americans owning slaves. And that changes the trajectory of slavery. Now, I believe that abolition of slavery, obviously net positive. Nobody's about to argue that. However, I do think that does cause for some pause. Now, move forward, he says, nope, the South was creating their own country within a country. Okay, for sure. That's definitely true. And when it comes down to secession, that, as we can see, was unsuccessful. And he also says that the Union almost lost. Also true. However, they won. So again, when it comes down to just the way things played out, obviously I'm going to be for the abolition of slavery via the Civil War and stuff like that. But there are a bunch of things that, as a result of the Civil War, definitely disenfranchised the South in a major way. And this is where most Black Americans were living at the time. 90% of Black Americans were living in this region of the country. To this very day, I think about 55% of Black Americans still live in the South. So again, I'm not sitting here saying that slavery was a good thing. I'm saying that Black Americans would have found a way to free themselves. That's what I do agree with HJ on. I do agree with him on that. But of course, shout out to the John Browns and all of this other stuff. It's just that as a result of that, they're going to be the ones who are going to ultimately take credit for freeing the slaves, even though, you know, Black Americans by and large were freeing themselves due to the violence that they were enacting on their owners. So it is something to think about when it comes to that. So yeah, that's just another video that I wanted to delve into. So let's get back to the inventors. Like I said, we finished this one, and these are the pre-Civil War ones that the website has. And then we'll also go to the video that even prompted me making this episode. So I wanted to go to the inventors without patents, because this is important. This is going to be some people that we don't know about. Okay, so let's go. How many we have here? We got 4, 8, 9. So we got 9 people that we're going to go through here. Lewis Temple. Let's see what we got with Lewis Temple. The invention of the fluted or barbed harpoon which revolutionized the whaling industry, was the brainchild of Lewis Temple, an African American blacksmith and abolitionist born in 1800 in Richmond, Virginia. Historians have not determined whether or not he started life as a slave or escaped slavery and found his way to north to New Bedford, Massachusetts as a free man, but it is generally agreed when he arrived there he was illiterate. We all know that. It's not a surprise here. Still, he was bright and resourceful, and by 1836 had married Mary Clark, formerly of Maryland, had 3 children, and owned a whalecraft shop. Do y'all see that you clearly didn't need to learn how to, you didn't need to know how to read to own a business? That's crazy. We keep seeing these different people. Now, I know that if Black Past could have had a picture of him, they would, but I'm still inclined to look him up. To see if we can get some more, just a visual of him. Okay. See, I want to learn more about the harpoon. What does the harpoon look like? Is this it? Okay, so this is, okay. So this is it right here. A barbed harpoon. Okay, this is fire. Let's look at the statue. So yeah, this is real deal. So he didn't get a patent despite being... Okay, we got to figure out why he didn't get a patent. Whale harpoon. Incredible. The toggle harpoon tip. Look at the ancestor. He looked like my granny. Yep, he looked like my granny. Let's see. Let's get back to the article. All right. It says here, the success Temple had in Massachusetts could not have been imagined in his native Virginia, a slaveholding state, but in New Bedford, where there was a sizable black population, he prospered and found time to lend his energies to the anti-slavery movement, becoming vice president of the New Bedford Union Society. He assisted former slaves, probably including young Frederick Douglass, when he and his wife settled in a 2-room home in New Bedford's black neighborhood in the town's West End. At age 47, Temple, along with 3 other black protesters, were arrested for rioting at the site of a pro-slavery lecture. Okay. Not long after his arrest in 1848, Temple employed his blacksmithing skills to manufacture an astonishing contribution to whaling worldwide. For the past millennium, seamen had killed whales using sturdy spear-like harpoons, oftentimes with fluted or barbed tips, that were effective but begged improvement. Temple developed Temple's toggle iron, a 2-piece harpoon that penetrated the whale's body and, unlike all previous designs, allowed the fluted part to pivot on an axle by 90 degrees, toggle, thereby making it all but impossible for the whale to break free from the harpoon. So all other harpoons were absolutely obsolete before Temple got there. Okay? Yeah, you were able to kill some, but a lot of them got away because they was able to just wiggle off, because it's just a straight, it's a straight arrow, and they can just, wiggle out of that. It's going to hurt, obviously, but they're able to swim away. So when you have it to where now when you move, the toggle moves with you, the tip moves with you, it stays in your body, and it's going to dig in even further. Okay? Temple developed, the whale could then be killed with a lance. Temple's more efficient design may have been influenced by a similar design long used by Eskimos, but his toggle iron was soon universally popular and remained in use until the 1950s. Ironically, Temple never went to sea. That's even crazier. Because, we've seen, inventors previously, they were in the field. Henry Blair and the corn planter, Thomas Jennings, and he was in dry cleaning, or he was in laundering. So, of course, he wants to make his job easier. These guys want to make their jobs easier. But we all know the relationship between fishing, whaling in New England. You know, I lived in Providence, Rhode Island, so I understand the ocean state, and I understand the importance of seafood and just seafaring activities, all overall. So the fact that he was able to revolutionize whaling without ever going to sea just speaks to the Black American innovation that we were talking about. Okay, though he failed to patent his invention, Temple lived comfortably. He had a maintenance contract with the city of New Bedford, got involved in local temperance politics, and built a larger whalecraft shop on the waterfront. Several months after suffering a pedestrian accident that impaired his health, Temple died May 18, 1854. In his honor, today a life-size statue of Lewis Temple examining his creation is on a pedestal outside the New Bedford Free Public Library. So look, we're talking about revolutionizing industries no matter where you go. That is the entire point. I hope that's a through line that you guys are noticing. That they wanted to revolutionize the industries that they were in. Okay? So I want to go some more without patents, because these guys are fire. I didn't even know about Lewis Temple. Went back too far. Oh no, we didn't. Okay, just want to make sure. George Crumb. Now I know about George Crumb. It is very contested, very debated invention and stuff like that. People go back and forth about what if George Crumb actually invented the potato chip. So we'll see what the article says, because I know this is what I know George Crumb. Not personally, but I know about him. George Speck, later known as George Crumb and long thought to be the inventor of the potato chip, was born July 15, 1824 in Saratoga County, New York, to parents Abraham Speck, an African American, and Diana Tull, a Native American of the Huron tribe. He had a sister, Catherine Kate Speck. Both George and Kate Speck identified as members of the St. Regis Band of the Huron. George Speck spent his youth as a guide in New York's Adirondack Mountains from 1834 to 1850. He was an animal trapper specializing in capturing wild duck and deer. In 1853, 29-year-old Speck was hired by Moon's Lake House, an Adirondack resort on Saratoga Lake near Saratoga Springs that catered to wealthy vacationers from New York City. One regular patron, Commodore Cornelius Vanderbilt, we all know him, regularly forgot Speck's last name and called him Crumb. Vanderbilt relayed personal food requests to Crumb through the waiters, and Speck eventually embraced the name, saying that, quote, a crumb is larger than a speck. Okay. That's how we just, how we do when it comes to shit. Making it cool. The popular narrative is that George Crumb invented the potato chip, a myth eventually debunked by his sister Kate Speck, who claimed she invented what would be soon known as the famous Saratoga chips. She says she sliced off a sliver of potato and it fell in a hot frying pan by accident. George Crumb tasted the sliced potato and gave his enthusiastic approval of the chip. Even her claim is undermined by the existence of cookbooks in the United States and Great Britain that describe earlier versions of the chips that were called fried potato shavings. There is no doubt, however, that Crumb's promotion of the chip helped popularize it. Wealthy visitors to Moon's restaurant soon spread the word about the Saratoga chips, often traveling from Boston and New York specifically for the delicacy. After an unsuccessful attempt to take credit for inventing the Saratoga chip, Carrie Moon, the owner of Moon's Lake House, began selling them in boxes, the first attempt to merchandise the product beyond his restaurant. In 1860, George Crumb opened his own restaurant, Crumb's Place, in Malta, New York, where he provided every table with a basket of chips. Crumb's chips remained a delicacy for the elite until the 1920s, when entrepreneurs Herman Lay brought the chips to the South to introduce them to a wider audience. Lay's mass production and worldwide distribution of potato chips soon overshadowed Crumb's legacy. Nonetheless, Crumb's Place was open until 1890, when he retired from the restaurant business. Crum married Elizabeth Jarrett in 1853, and the couple had 3 sons, John, Gilbert, and William, and a daughter, Anne. They divorced in 1857. He met his second wife, Hester Bennett, who was a regular customer at Crum's place. They married in 1860 and remained a couple until her death in 1906. George Speck Crum died in Malta, New York, July 22nd, 1914, at the age of 90. So check this out. So I didn't know the contest. I already knew that there was going to be some people like in Europe or whatever that wanted to take credit for it before George or whatever, but nobody denies that George is the one who made them popular. And secondly, he made them so popular that Herman Lay's of Lay's Chips, that's correct, saw this black man's invention, or saw this the product that this black man popularized, and was like, I have a distribution network. I have the ability to mass produce this stuff. Let me get in on this shit. And now we have, and his name was Herman Lay. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Here we go. 1909 to 1982. Okay. American businessman who involved in potato chip manufacturing with his eponymous brand of Lay's potato chips. He started H.W. Lay Company, now part of the Frito-Lay Corporation, a subsidiary of PepsiCo. Born in North Carolina, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Do they give credit to Crum at all in this? Yeah, no. They don't. Yeah, I'm not seeing any credit to him going to New York. And this dope-ass New Yorker was able to create these fly-ass chips. And so no credit. But it's, it is what it is. The rest is history is what they say, right? So, yeah, I know about George Crum. And it's 10 o'clock, so this is just a reminder for make sure that you doing all of the things here. Right here, up here. Every last one of these platforms I need you to subscribe and follow me on right now. To make sure that you guys are understanding that this is, a real thing. I will be dropping content for tomorrow on Patreon. So every day you're going to get something from me. Monday we do live, Tuesday we do Patreon, Wednesday we do live, Thursday we do Patreon, Friday we do live, Saturday we do in the Hotep History podcast with my brother Mac, aka Chitlin Poppy. We are working, okay? We working every day this week and every day next week. I'm going to be in your face. You will not forget about me. I do want to take a little break to talk about Frank Brown. I want to talk about Frank Brown. Let's go to my profile, because that's who this video is featuring here. Okay. Thank you. There we go. We got more followers. Make sure y'all following me. Yes, sir.
Creation that defied the industrial norms of its perusing through the. So while I was perusing,
hold on, had to talk over myself. All right, so this is Frank Brown of Baltimore. Let's get into it.
So while I was perusing through the archives, I happened upon this man right here, Frank Brown. In the early 20th century, Frank Brown, a black American inventor from Baltimore, unveiled a creation that defied the industrial norms of his time, the wave and gravity motor. This device, demonstrated at Young's Hall, harnessed the relentless power of ocean waves and the subtle force of gravity to generate electricity. A working model stirred thoughtful citizens. Its reinforced concrete buoys promised a steady flow of energy capable of transmitting power 200 to several hundred miles away. This was no mere curiosity. It was a vision to eliminate the use of coal, reduce labor costs, and provide cheap renewable energy for lighting, trains, and machines across the nation. The economic implications of this invention, had it been produced at a national scale, would have been staggering for 1912 America. At the time, coal powered nearly 75% of the nation's electricity, with annual consumption around 400 million short tons, costing approximately $2 to $3 per ton, totaling roughly $1 billion annually. Brown's motor aimed to eliminate this dependency, replacing coal with ocean waves.
So, I'm glad it froze a little bit right there. Just so to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying here is that, 75% of how we generated electricity came from coal. Now, we all know, if we have any people in our family that worked in coal mines or just understand the history of coal mining in this country, very dangerous job, okay? Very, very dangerous job. Whether it was like the caves collapsing on you, you getting black lung from being in them fucking caves all day and breathing in all of that shit. It was very, very labor-intensive job. Killed many men. I'm sure many women as well. And Frank Brown comes out of nowhere with an engine that is going to run off the ocean's waves. And we all know just how eternal the ocean's waves are. Okay? It's not created by anything outside of the moon. That's it. The moon. The moon is the reason why the oceans are waving. That's it. Lunar cycles, lunar phases, that's where the ocean's waves are coming from. And this black man, this picture of him, is the only picture of him that survives. As a matter of fact, if you would even try to Google Frank Brown of Baltimore, I'm going to come up. Just because I found this in the archives myself. Nobody was talking about Frank Brown. Okay? I found him just by looking for Negro inventors and stuff like that. And I'm trying to tell y'all, it's crazy, because we're going to, get to it. But I want y'all to see that when it comes down to Black American ingenuity, Black American innovation, Black American inventiveness, this is what the ancestors always aimed for, revolutionizing whatever industry that they were tackling. We have yet to read, and we've read several tonight, we have yet to read of a Black American invention that wasn't going to or didn't revolutionize whatever industry that they were in. Not one. So I get that when y'all getting into the what's his name? Morgan Garrett, I want to say, with the stoplight. You got a whole bunch of black and white people that was arguing over who actually invented what and all this other shit, the mailbox, stuff like that. Like, I get that. And while that does make things more efficient, while that does make things better, that's also not speaking to the revolutionizing of particular industries. You dig? Certain things are just common sense. So when it comes down to like the traffic light and stuff like that, it's common sense, bro. Like, you got, up until this point, you got men in the street, you got police officers in the street directing traffic. Shit, sometimes when the light's not working, you'll have construction workers doing that to this very day. And I'm not downing those types of inventions, but I do want to highlight the inventions that literally revolutionized or would revolutionize any particular industry. And this is one of them. We're talking about electricity here. Okay? Something that the entire country needs at all times, every single day. There's 330 million people in this country, and we all need electricity every single moment of the day. This entire stream wouldn't exist. I don't know how many devices. I got this. I got the laptop. I got the camera. I got this monitor. I got all of these cool lights and shit in the background. Got the light in here. Like, all of this without electricity would not exist. This is what I'm saying. And Frank Brown revolutionized this shit from his crib. Built this model, showed it at Young's Hall, and was able to, was willing to mass produce it. But let's get into the rest of the video.
Scaled nationally, it could have saved industries that $1 billion, redirecting funds to manufacturing and infrastructure. For example, the steel industry, which consumed about 20% of U.S. coal production, might have cut energy costs by 30%, saving $60 million every year, boosting output and reducing steel prices from $30 per ton to potentially $25 per ton, reshaping construction and rail expansion. Beyond coal savings, the motor's promise to reduce labor costs would have transformed industrial economics. In 1912, coal mining employed over 700,000 workers, with wages averaging $600 per year, totaling $420 million in labor costs. Wave energy, requiring minimal human intervention once installed, could have slashed these expenses, freeing up capital for factories to hire skilled workers or to invest in machinery. The motor's ability to power trains and machines several hundred miles away could have lowered freight costs, then 2 cents per ton mile for coal transport, potentially saving railroads $50 million annually, accelerating commerce between coastal and inland cities like Baltimore and Pittsburgh. A New Jersey electric company, the Atlantic Perfected Motor Company, recognized this potential, investing $250,000 or over $8 million today to bring this vision to life. Incorporated under New Jersey law, the company planned operations for spring of 1913, a milestone that hinted at a new era of innovation. Yet, the story takes a mysterious turn. No record exists of the motor's completion or Brown's fate after the demonstration. The Atlantic Perfected Motor Company vanishes from historical ledgers, its $250,000 capital unaccounted for, its promise unfulfilled. Brown, a Washington native known for his ambition to achieve something worthwhile, disappears without a trace. No patents, no further documentation, no legacy preserved. In fact, this is probably the only time you've ever even heard about Frank Brown. Now, was it technical failure that silenced his work? Did financial struggles or systemic barriers faced by Black American inventors in 1912 erase his name? Or could coal interests, threatened by a new technology that could dismantle their billion-dollar empire, have taken them out, ensuring their business remained unchallenged? The lack of evidence leaves us with questions, marking this as an untold hidden history. Frank Brown's contribution remains obscure, a forgotten chapter in American innovation. His effort to pioneer sustainable energy could have reshaped industry, yet the void where his story should be underscores the need to uncover such overlooked figures. What happened to the intelligent mind behind this revolutionizing technology? Did the establishment bury his achievement?
Yeah, I'm just saying the same shit over again. So, I'm gonna let y'all know. They killed Frank. I ain't gonna hold you. They killed Frank. There's no way they didn't kill Frank. This nigga was literally about to have the world running on water. They had to kill him. Think about how big coal was. We're talking 75% of all of our energy is being produced by coal. Now I have to assume the other 25% was what, steam? So the great majority of our electricity was being generated by coal, and these manufacturing plants, these big multi-million dollar, adjusted for inflation, billion-dollar industries are literally predicated upon coal. Yes, if brought to fruition, it revolutionizes the industry, but then it also forces the factories to like completely revamp the way they operate. All of the furnaces, all of the different things that they have in the factories, they have to refix and refashion these factories to accommodate water energy. And they're already built around coal. Everybody is used to coal. And you want us to go to water power. Yes, this is going to help with everything that I said in the video. Labor costs, the output costs, as far as like what it's going to cost the consumer, what it's going to cost the producer to produce it. All of these different things are going to cut these costs, but at what cost? At the cost of these conglomerates, at the cost of these capitalists, at the cost of these business owners. And they weren't having it. They were not having it. There's absolutely no way that a single man gets an $8 million adjusted for inflation investment by a company in New Jersey, and I can't find anything else about him. Not about the failure of the business, because I would have taken that. I just need to know how this ended. I've read plenty of bad stories. I'm not tripping over if this would, ended in failure, that he couldn't get it to scale or whatever it is. That's fine, because he had a working model. The model was able to generate electricity on a small scale, but this technology, from wherever beach this was going to be set up, it was going to be able to travel at least 200 miles. That one engine was going to be able to provide electricity for up to 200 miles. And that's the reason why I spoke on like inland states, like, you know, or cities like Baltimore, or well, Baltimore, they got their own harbor or whatever, but like Pittsburgh, these landlocked areas, right? You'll be able to still get energy to these cities from the ocean because it travels up to 200 miles. He figured all of this out within whatever time. 1912, he gets $8 million, and then that's it. Imagine, like you just get $8 million. Somebody in the contemporary sense gets $8 million from, I don't know, Sequoia Capital or one of these, you know, Silicon Valley or Austin-based, you know, venture capitalist firms, puts money behind him, and then out of nowhere, this person just falls off the face of the earth. And that's why everybody is so worried about Julian Brown and his invention. It's just that it's an innovation and not an invention, because this is something that, you know, Exxon and BP and these other companies tried to do, turning, you know, waste, you know, plastic waste into fuel. It's just that the cost effectiveness of it seems to be non-existent. So it's like it's going to take more energy to produce this type of fuel than it actually will be saving. It's just like going electric with your cars. Like these electric car batteries take diesel to create. They take more diesel to actually, you know, generate the electricity to put in these electric cars. Like if you were to look at any of these Tesla stations or any of these electric car stations and stuff like that, as far as filling up, you're going to see diesel generators and stuff like that. And if you don't, it's just more than likely underground. But they are literally taking the same energy that they are supposed to be replacing. They're using that energy to energize their whole shit. It's like communism. It's like, yeah, using all of the innovation of capitalism to push your communism. It's the same thing. So with Julian Brown, I'm not so much worried about Exxon or BP, you know, assassinating him, because they were trying to perfect this technology before Julian was born. You dig what I'm saying? And there's another inventor. So let's go to my page that just fell off the face of the earth after getting $250,000, which is so goddamn sketchy. It's so sketchy. Thomas should be enough. I don't think that I talked about a Thomas a lot. So let's see. Thomas Downing, no. Thomas Sowell, no. Thomas Edison, no. Here we go. I said this is last month, or 2 months ago rather. So I'll be a week, 2 months ago. Last night on stream, we uncovered yet another Black American inventor who fell off the face of the earth after introducing a revolutionary product and getting a $250,000 investment. His name was E.A. Thomas. Okay, so here we go. E.A. or G.A., because the typos in newsletters and newspapers, invented a carpet cleaning machine that would revolutionize the home and commercial cleaning industry. Crowdfunded $250,000, over $9 million adjusted for inflation, then nothing. His name never comes up again. Okay, these are the only two articles I could find on him. So look, G.A. Thomas invents a carpet cleaner which will revolutionize house cleaning and bring dollars to his coffers. Mrs. Fannie Barrier Williams gives a lucid description of the workings of the machine and its many advantages over all others of its kind. A company organized with a capital stock of $250,000. Okay, let's go. Mr. E.A. Thomas, a colored man of this city, has invented a machine for the cleaning, disinfecting of rugs, carpets, and other floor coverings that is pronounced by experts to be one of the most ingenious and practical machines of the kind ever invented. You see what I'm saying? Like this, these are not these rinky-dink, little tinkering machines. Like these things are going to revolutionize entire industries. This is going to change the lives of millions of people. Okay? Mr. Thomas, until a year ago, was an employee of the Illinois Central Railroad. He is a man of about 45 years of age, of keen intelligence and much force of character. About a year ago, he began to study the present awkward, expensive, and unsatisfactory way of cleaning carpets and rugs, hotels, and restaurants, as well as in private homes. Owing to the lack of yard room or commons and to the stringent city ordinances, the cleaning of carpets in cities is a perplexing problem. The present methods are expensive, archaic, and in every way unsatisfactory. Thomas became convinced that if some device could be worked out to do away with all of these embarrassments, there would be no question about its being seized upon and brought into extensive use. So again, going super hard to show that, when it comes down to the way they are looking at the industry that they're in, you feel me? They're like, yo, dog, like we can change the world. We can change the industry. He gets the same $250,000. It was just a few years earlier, I want to say. Yeah, it was 8 years earlier. EA or GA Thomas got his bread in 1904. Frank Brown got his bread in 1912. So these two inventors who are going to revolutionize the industry, and Frank Brown was going to revolutionize the world for real, because I know other countries were going to adopt this. And then EA or GA Thomas, the same thing. And then they just fall off the face of the earth? Come on now. Like I said, something nefarious is afoot. Something nefarious is afoot, my fellow Hotep historians. I'm trying to tell y'all. And so that is the reason why I go so hard about studying the histories, because I'm telling you, nobody, and I mean nobody on the planet, was talking about Frank Brown or EA or GA Thomas. Two men who revolutionized their industry during their time, falling off the face of the earth. Go ahead and Google those people. Google Frank Brown wave gravity motor. You may get like a newspaper.com something or other. You feel me? You may get that. But when it comes down to like EA Thomas, you're not going to see anything about him. First of all, the name is too vague. I still don't know what his first and middle name is. So again, when it comes down to the archives, you must understand that it's so many gems in there. Like just invaluable gems in there. Like you're not finding this anywhere else. You're not finding this anywhere else. Only at Hotep History are you getting this type of information. That's the reason why I wanted to hit y'all with Black Past and stuff like that, because those are inventors that are more known, obviously. But when it comes down to the Hotep History inventors, these two men literally are mysteries. Hashtag where's Frank Brown? Hashtag where is GA Thomas? Real talk. So before we get back to Black Past, because we're gonna be getting out of here in just a little bit, y'all. This is the book that I was referring to, Henry Baker. Okay. The Colored Inventor, a record of 50 years. This is a book 50 years after the enslavement of Black Americans had been abolished and ended, and just giving a testament of that ingenuity. What I loved about the ancestors when it comes down to slavery, they use that as a benchmark for progress. Like, okay, now that we've been slaves, here's what we've been doing 10, 25, 50, 100, 150, 200 years. Like, that's something that Black Americans were prideful about. They had a lot of pride about that. Like, yo, look at the progress we are making. It's only been 50 years, barely a generation after the end of slavery, and look at all of the things that we've been able to accomplish. So we're going to read a couple little excerpts from this, and then we're going to get up out of here. So yeah, the year 1913 marks the close of the first 50 years since Abraham Lincoln issued that famous edict known as the Emancipation Proclamation, by which physical freedom was vouchsafed to the slaves and the descendants of slaves in this country. It would seem entirely fit and proper that those who were either directly or indirectly benefited by the proclamation should pause long enough at this period in their national life and to review the past, recount the progress made, and see, if possible, what of the future is disclosed in the past. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like the average Hotep historian. You can see the future in the past. I say again, you can see the future in the past. You know, they say history is cyclical, right? What comes around goes back around. What if we are absolutely in the age of Black American innovation, like the days of your Lewis Temples and your, Lewis Lattimores and, George Crumb and Thomas Jennings and all these different men that we've been talking about. And we are going to end on a woman because she revolutionized home security, and we're going to get into that. I just wanted to read a couple excerpts from this. The colored people in the United States have made substantial progress in the general spread of intelligence among them and in elevating the tone of their moral life, in the acquisition of property, in the development and support of business enterprises, and in the professional activities. It is a matter of quite common assent by those who have been at all observant on the subject. This fact is amply shown to be true by the many universities, colleges, and schools organized, supported, and manned by the race, by their attractive homes and cultured home life, found now in all parts of our country by the increasing numbers of those of the race who are successfully engaging in professional life, and by the gradual advance the race is making toward business efficiency in many varied lines of business activity. See, all of the men and women who were a part of the professional, industrial, and commercial, they understood gradual progress. They understood that, you're not going to build Rome in a day. They understood that it's going to take time. Whether or not white people are on board or not is absolutely irrelevant. What is relevant is our ability to keep building upon what we've already started, building upon the foundation. And you're not going to build a home in a day. Not a structurally sound home anyway. You're not going to make viable progress in a day, in a week, in a month. It's going to take you a compounding of time over and over again working at something to actually succeed at that thing. That's just reality. Okay? It is not so apparent, however, to the general public that along the line of inventions, also the colored race has made surprising and substantial progress, and that is in that it has followed even if afar off the footsteps of the more favored race. And it is highly important, therefore, that we should make note of what the race has achieved along this line, to the end that proper credit may be accorded it as having made some contribution to our national progress. Again, they're not trying to do this for selfish reasons. They're doing this to advance America as a whole. They just are the minds to get it done. That's the entire point. That's why I told y'all their ancestors were always proud Americans. They were always proud Americans. They loved the country that they were from, whether they came here, as slaves or whatever it was. Even I know everybody talks about Frederick Douglass's, what is the 4th of July to the slave and stuff like that, but not slaves anymore. And so when it comes down to even him and Martin Delany wanted to go to Africa. Frederick Douglass wanted to stay in America, and that's because he was a proud American. So I'm a proud American. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. So yeah, we're going to read this one page, and then we're out of here. And then we're going to go to the last inventor, and then we're out of here. Standing foremost in the list of things that have actually done most to promote our national progress in all material ways is the item of inventions. Without inventions, we should have had no agricultural implements with which to till the fertile fields out our vast continent, no mining machinery for recovering the rich treasure that for centuries lay hidden beneath our surface, no steamer or steamboat, okay, transporting the products of field and mine, no machinery for converting those products into other forms of commercial needs, no telegraph or telephone for the speedy transmission of messages, no means for discovering and controlling the various utilitarian applications of electricity, no one of those delicate instruments which enable the skillful surgeon of today to transform and renew the human body, and often to make life itself stand erect, as it were, in the very presence of death. Without invention, we could have none of these numerous instruments which today in the hands of the scientists enable him accurately to forecast the weather, to anticipate and provide against storms on land and at sea, to detect seismic disturbances and warn against the dangers incident to their reputation, and no wireless telegraphy, telegraphy, I don't know, telegraphy, with its manifold blessings to humanity. So understand, there is no American advancement without American innovation and American invention, and there's no American innovation and American invention without Black Americans. So there's two more that I want to talk about. So we got one more dude, and I'll put that. Where would I put it? Damn, they going crazy. Where's my pin tweet at? There we go. This is my pin tweet, so we can put it in here because I saved it on my phone. Okay. Oh, I might as well put all three of these joints in there. Okay, so, yep. Okay, and this is some homework. I'm giving y'all a little bit of homework. It's only 10 questions. Don't trip. Okay. So we got two more. We can go right here. It's the pin tweet. Oh, it's right here. Boom. So this right here, Birkin's automatic gun. And now you can Google this. This is not something that's super obscure. You can Google this. But here we go. It says the most wonderful machine gun of the world, which is the invention of Mr. Eugene Birkins, the famous Negro inventor. This gun will likely be on exhibition in our city during the Elk Street Fair. It fires 14 times a minute and is operated by electricity. Okay? Like this is what the ancestors were getting into. So let's go into that. We could use this page. Eugene Birkins. Did I spell his name right? Birkins. There we go. So this is him. This is Eugene and his machine gun. You see jeez, man. These small, okay. Facebook, though. You know I don't like Facebook. Shout out to y'all that be on Facebook. I don't jack Facebook, man. I don't be jacking. Am I tripping? Did the chat go silent on me? The chat go silent on me? What's on? I ain't been seeing y'all speak for a little bit now. We been in this mug. What's up? No, I ain't tripping. Let me see. So yeah, this is the patent. A native of New Orleans was living with his father in Chicago in 1900 when he patented the Birkins automatic machine gun. Although it performed to the high standards set by the military, he was unsuccessful in selling it. Mr. Birkins saw in what way he could improve the machine gun by increasing its rapid firing capacity, and along that line, he began to work his first model. So, this is it. This is the patent. You see his name up here. Breech loading cannon. I can't see the chat, y'all. I don't know what's going on. So if y'all chatting, just let me know. I'll go to let me go to kick on here. Gotta mute it. Gotta mute this. I just want to make sure I'm seeing the chat. Seems like something happened. Yo, if y'all wondering, y'all probably not, but it's something that I noticed. Y'all probably don't even notice it. But that login that y'all see up there, like the name and password, that is like a Filipino or some type of like Southeast Asian account, right? I used to sell insurance. And when I was selling insurance, they like the best way to get, clients and stuff like that is to use Facebook ads. It is like a Filipino or some type of like I could not create my own account, right? I could not create my own Facebook account, so I bought like Southeast Asian accounts to get clients and stuff like that to be able to circumvent it, because it's like even if I did make it, it was going to be like 60 days before I can buy ads. It's like a whole bunch of rules. Of course, Facebook is doing that. I could not create my own stop spam. I could not create my own. Cliff says good Facebook account. I just want to make sure that y'all was still in the chat with me and I wasn't tripping. You know what I'm saying? To be able to circumvent it. All right, cool, like even if I did make it. So let's get back to business. Because it's getting late, y'all. It's getting late. So that's Eugene Birkins. That's his patent, and then we're going to go to the home security system. What was her name? Because I have her name somewhere. Hold on. Give me a second, y'all. Black woman security system. I know her name was like Van something. Yeah, Marie Van Brittan Brown. Okay, I just want to make sure I got her name right. Marie Van Brittan Brown. So let's do her, and then we're gonna get out of here. Marie Van, up right here. Right here. Feedback. Yeah, let me know. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said I want to hear from you guys. For sure. Okay. So let's get into Marie Van Brittan Brown and I guess Albert L. Brown, her husband, and their invention. Home security system. There we go. On August 1st, 1966. Hold on, can I find it in Black Pass? Because that'd be even better. So it'd be 61 to present. So see if... Oh, right here. Boom. We ain't even got to go to Wiki. We'll go there after. All right. So Marie Van Brittan Brown. Here we go. She was an inventor of the first home security system. She is also credited with the invention of the first closed-circuit television. So not just the security system, but the first closed-circuit television. Okay? CCTV. And that's what that is. When you talk about the corners of stores and stuff like that, CCTV, she's credited with the invention of the first one. Brown was born in Queens, New York. Shout out to New York one more time. On October 22nd, 1922, and resided there until her death on February 2nd, 1999, at the age of 76. Her father was born in Massachusetts, and her mother was from Pennsylvania. The patent for Marie Van Brittan Brown's invention of the first home security system was filed in 1966, and it later influenced modern home security systems that are still used today. Brown's invention was inspired by the security risk that her home faced in the neighborhood where she lived. Marie Brown worked as a nurse, and her husband, Albert Brown, worked as an electronics technician. Their work hours were not the standard 9 to 5, and the crime rate in their Queens, New York City neighborhood was very high. Even when the police were contacted in the event of an emergency, the response time tended to be slow. As a result, Brown looked for ways to increase her level of personal security. She needed to create a system that would allow her to know who was at her home and contact relevant authorities as quickly as possible. Brown's security system was the basis for the two-way communication and surveillance features of modern security. Her original invention was comprised of peepholes, a camera, monitors, and a two-way microphone. The final element was an alarm button that could be pressed to contact the police immediately. 3 peepholes were placed on the front door at different height levels. The top one was for tall persons, the bottom was for children, and the middle was for anyone of average height. At the opposite side of the door, a camera was attached with the ability to slide up and down to allow the person to see through each peephole. The camera picked up images that would reflect on the monitor via a wireless system. The monitor could be placed in any part of the house to allow you to see who was at the door. There was also a voice component to enable Brown to speak to the person outside. If the person was perceived to be an intruder, the police would be notified with the push of a button. If the person was a welcome or expected visitor, the door could be unlocked via remote control. Marie and Albert Brown filed for patent on August 1st, 1966, under the title, quote, Home Security System Utilizing Television Surveillance. Their application was approved on December 2nd, 1969. Brown's invention gained her well-deserved recognition, including an award for the from the National Scientist Committee. No year for the award can be identified. In an interview with the New York Times on December 6, 1969, Brown's invention laid the foundation for later security systems that make use of its features such as video monitoring, remote control door locks, push-button alarm triggers, instant messaging to security providers and police, as well as two-way voice communication. Her invention is still used by small businesses, small offices, single-family homes, and multi-unit dwellings such as apartments and condominiums. The Brown's patent was later referenced by 13 other inventors, including some as early as recently as 2013. Brown was the mother of 2 children, one of whom, Norma Brown, went on to become a nurse and inventor. Wow. So her lineage is just full of it. So we got to check that patent out, dog. Like that patent is so cool. That's so cool. Is it on the wiki? It's totally fine. If it's not, we'll just Google it. Yup. Look at this. I thought this was just super fire when I seen it for the first time. This was years ago when I first seen it, but I thought it was super dope. Securityindustry.org. But look at this, yo. Look at this. You could be in bed, see dude outside from inside, protected, and have all of these different, mechanisms and stuff like that. The lock, power supply, all of these different things to be able to protect your home. Now think about the the Ring, right? And all of the other, cameras that we see on people's porches now. That's a doorbell / camera. Like, this is the OG of all of that technology. Without Marie Van Brittan Brown, you don't get the Ring camera. You dig? Look at this. A black woman is at the helm of home security. So, absolutely. So, I asked earlier, we can go back. This article is way too long for the hour. We'll get into that at another time. Let's see. Let's go back to the profile. I asked 3 questions. What caused so many black Americans to file patents for nearly 1,000 inventions from 1870 to 1940? Why has the amount of black American investors, I put investors and supposed to put inventors. Inventors decreased so much since the 20th century, and how can black Americans participate in the latest tech boom? Give me your answers in the chat. Give me your answers in the chat, and I'll answer why you guys are getting yours together. What caused so many black Americans to file patents for nearly 1,000 inventions from 1870 to 1940? One, it was the age in which America was in. It was the age of innovation. So that was just a part of the American zeitgeist at the time. Also, it was because black Americans were steeped into these different industries. Even though Lewis Temple wasn't a whaler himself, he understood the industry because of where he lived, so he contributed to it. But when you think of men like James Fortin and all of the other men that we were talking about, like Henry Blair, these men were in the industry. They were actively working in these industries, and they wanted to make their jobs easier. Black Americans have always been producers in this country. They've always created in this country. So at the end of the day, they're going to do things that are going to make their industry easier. So that is the reason why from 1870 to 1940, black Americans were, inventing like it wasn't nothing, because they were so intimately, you know, they were so intimate with the work, the industry that they were in, that they are also going to think of things to make it easier to be in this industry, to work and do things in this industry. You dig what I'm saying? So, of course, that's my answer for question number one. Question number two, why has the amount of black American inventors decreased so much since the 20th century? Again, going back to what I always talk about, black Americans going from being independent producers to being dependent consumers. Black Americans, going away from the ancestral black American ethos that I talk about all of the time. Those men and women are now focused on being the best consumer that they can be. Now, there is value in being a consumer. Please do not get it fucked up. It's one half of a transaction. So you need consumers. So when you start looking at like the Nielsen company being able to track the spending habits and the viewership of black Americans, and what black Americans are doing with their dollars, what they're doing with their mind, with their time, when it comes down to programming and different things like that, that data is literally priceless. They use this data, and they have been using this data since 1954 at the beginning, when the Johnson Publishing Company created Selling to the Negro. So the black American consumer is important. Do not let anybody tell you anything different. However, now black America is overwhelmingly consumer based as opposed to producer based. So that's what you're seeing here. And that is the reason why I think it has decreased so much, because the culture has changed so much. And finally, how can black Americans participate in this latest tech boom? Get your certs, get your certifications, follow people like Simone Bies, and we're going to end there. Follow people like Simone Bies, who was literally getting people into tech every day. Every day. I have an immense respect for Bees. Bees knows that I've been following Bees for the greater part of a decade now. Extremely proud of her and what she's been able to do. Young millionaire, helping other people become young millionaires. So if you are, wanting to get into tech, she's your go-to. I'm going to always praise her. I'm going to always shout out Bees. Bees has always been a genuine person, a solid person, somebody that I could always chop it up with. And, she has a great respect for me and what I do. And so it's just a mutual respect there. And I wish her nothing but the best. But she just posted somebody praising her name as far as the method into getting into tech. And hold on, she posts a lot. She's big on engagement. She rich as hell too, so she be doing all of the rich stuff. You know what I mean? I told Bees that I want her to throw me a millionaire party when I make my first million. She told me she got me. So check this out. This is She says, randomly scrolls my TikTok feed and coming across this guy's post. I just keep sharing the information and changing lives. That's a fact. So this is some random young Asian man.
What's up?
Talking about being.
I got a bunch of people asking me if I can tell them how to get from point A to working in cybersecurity. Right? Look, get your Sec Plus. Do the Simone Bies method. That's what I did. I got my Sec Plus 601 back in 2022. I did a couple home lab projects, whatever you want to call it. It's in my TikTok page. Like, just scroll down, do some of those, and then get to applying. All right, make your resume look real good. I used to do it a lot for people, not as much anymore. I'm trying to work on myself because I've been working in cyber for like a little over 3 years now. Just been busy on that. But yeah, just get certified first, get knowledgeable on it, okay? And knowledgeable on security concepts, because you want to be good at what you do, not just, oh, I passed the test, can I get a job now? No. Have the fundamentals and know it like the back of your hand, okay? Get certified first, projects, then start applying. Don't wait. And then after that, if you happen to get that role, you go get that degree from WGU. Look, this job market has proved that they don't care what college you go to. It's all about experience. Now, how can I have experience without any experience? You sound dumb. Bro, that's what the projects are for, You gotta phrase it in a way to where it's professional experience, right? Now, there's so many projects out there that you can do to take you to the role you wanna get, right? But I'm just gonna leave it at that now. Don't think too much, okay? Just get your cert first, get your projects, and then think about your next move. That's all I have to say for now.
So she's literally enriching the lives of modern day Americans right now. She's getting, like, since I've been following Bees, I can't even count how many people she's gotten into tech. So if you are somebody who is in between careers, not knowing what you want to do, and you want to get in on the tech boom, I can't recommend Simone Bies enough. You guys need to tap in with her. She's a great resource. She will get you to that bag. She will get you to that bag. Now, she's not a genie, and you will have to work for it. But she will make sure that if you have the work ethic to make it happen, she will make sure that she gives you all of the tools and all of the things you need to be successful. All right, so with that, y'all, we're going to leave it, we're going to end it on my page because, this is my joint. You feel me? The handsome devil himself. Devilishly handsome, made in the image of God. You dig? We can close out these tabs just because I like to clean up. I thank y'all, man. I thank y'all for coming through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. I know I enjoyed bringing it to you. Hope you guys enjoyed my new overlay that I got here. Make sure you guys are subscribing to all of the different places. Patreon.com/Hotep History, Kick.com/Hotep History, YouTube.com/Hotep History, Hotep History on Instagram, Hotep Dubes on Twitter, as you can see on your screen, and then finally Hotep History on TikTok, and not to mention HotepHistory.com. HotepHistory.com. You'll get a whole bunch of other content. So listen, make sure you're subscribing to all of the things, okay? Make sure you're subscribing to all of the things. Stay in tune with me. Stay on top of all of the work that I'm doing, and I promise you, you are going to learn something. I'm sure you guys learned something tonight. I'm more than sure. So thank you guys. Thank you to everybody who came through. I'm going to be pushing more and more on Kick, but I may bring YouTube back into the fold. I'm not sure yet. I got to have a couple conversations about that. But I am so happy that I've been able to give you guys just better and better shows, better and better episodes. I can't wait to drop the content that I have for you guys on Patreon tomorrow. So make sure you guys are subscribing to the Patreon. It's only going to be on Patreon. I'm not sharing it anywhere else. My Patreon subscribers get a lot of exclusive content. So make sure that you guys are subscribing to that. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. And of course, I'll be back here Wednesday at 8 p.m. I haven't figured out what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday, but just know that no matter what I'm going to be talking about, I want to hear from you guys. Okay, make sure you're flooding the comments like you did tonight. Shout out to Cliff for showing us his great works. Shout out to Nikki. Shout out to what was my man name? Because I can't see them in the chat anymore. Move Forward. There we go. Move Forward 77. Shout out to everybody that came through. I always appreciate you guys coming into my lives and sharing it. Thank you for all of the retweets, all of the likes. Make sure that you just stay tuned and keep on coming back. And as you always know, when it comes to Hotep Dudes, what do we say? You can't have the future without the present, and you can't have the present without the past. And we don't study history to live in the past, but to order our steps in the present so we can positively affect our future. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, Hotep and Bill, man. Hotep and Bill.